I'm Taylor Bisciotti with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Bengals and wide receiver T. Higgins were unable to strike a long-term deal by the July 15th deadline, so he will play under the franchise tag in 2024. Meantime, Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts could have a bigger role in Zach Robinson's new offense this season. Robinson telling the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that Pitts is cross-training at both tight end and wide receiver, adding, quote, "We'll move him around the formation. We'll use him as a blocker. We'll use him as a receiver. We'll use him all across the board." Hall of Fame wide receiver Calvin Johnson Jr. is headed into Detroit's Ring of Honor, known as the Pride of the Lions, during the 2024 season. The club announced the induction will take place at halftime at the Seahawks-Lions game on September 30th. Johnson will become the 21st member of the Pride of the Lions, joining the likes of Barry Sanders, Alex Karras, Herman Moore, and Bobby Lane. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
As you know, summertime is here. And for most people, that means more activities, more golf, more biking, more of whatever you love to do. But if you're dealing with minor aches and pains, your more could become less. This is why I'm here to tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that helps fight pain naturally. For instance, I was sent Relief Factor to try, and I've been taking it every single day. I'll tell you what, I feel the difference every day. You see, instead of masking your pain, Relief Factor's formula is designed to help reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, and it's been a game changer for so many people. So let's get after it this summer. Let's feel good. Let's do more of the things that we love to do. Don't let pain keep you down. Give Relief Factor a try and save on your first order. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Savit for Ted and Wally's Premium Ice Cream. There's something I always tell you about, and it's the butterfat content. You're probably like, what does butterfat have to do with the ice cream? Well, 20% butterfat makes for thick and just luscious and so silky ice cream. It's incredible. It's a really different taste. You know, a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of great ice cream around town. And that's true. There's a lot of great ice cream in town. But if you want a special ice cream, if you want a premier ice cream, if you want ice cream that's been around for more than 35 years and that is prepared the exact same way it's been prepared since it started, you want to go to Ted and Wally's. 2 locations, down in the Old Market and also in Benson, right next to Taste of New Orleans. It is an ultra premium ice cream, more than 3,000 flavors. Whether it's a birthday or you're just going out to have some fun, you stop by Ted and Wally's and you get yourself some wonderful ice cream. Quality products too, local artisans, getting product from our area. That's what makes the ice cream so great. 2 locations, whether you go to the Old Market or Benson, tell them Severe sent you.
At Lanahaw, quality and craftsmanship are our standard. From design to install, our experts are here to help bring your outdoor vision to life. Let us get started designing your next project now. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
Looking for a nurturing environment where your child can thrive this school year? You belong here. At Catholic schools, we offer pre-K and kindergarten programs focusing on faith and academic excellence. Whether you're the family of a child or an educator looking to thrive and help teach our future leaders, you'll find your place here in a supportive environment where faith and learning go hand in hand. Catholic schools, faith-focused, family-centered. You belong here. Discover more at lovemyschool.com. Tuition assistance available.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
1620 The Zone.
If I have to bet, it doesn't matter who's I'm going with. I'm gonna bet on myself.
And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
All right, we got a lot of stuff going on in this country of ours. You know, we're looking to be united. I think last night we all became united. United in laughter, that is. Ingrid. Of all these sporting events, like after the stuff that took place on the weekend, you would think, man, you got to come out of the box with a banger of an
Whitney
anthem.
Houston type stuff.
Oh my God,
Chris Stapleton type stuff.
But it united the country.
In laughter.
Laughter's the best medicine.
There's a lot to discuss. And before I guess she's like completely gotten off social media.
Damn, I was going to look her up.
Did you see her profile on Twitter? I think she has a sense of humor, though, because she puts 4-time Grammy loser.
She's popular in the country circles.
Mm-hmm.
She does a song with Sam Hunt called Wishful Drinking. Now, if you listen to it and you listened to her last night, you're like, well, that is not the same person. But, you know, being in a studio, you sound a little bit different. And it's a super popular country song. And I thought that when it started, it was an SNL sketch. I thought it's a bit, it's a prank. There's something going on here. She can't hear. She's having an incident, something. And as she went on, and as they flashed to Alec Bowman, he's not even trying to hide his laughter.
He's looking up almost in disbelief, but also in humor.
I mean, we can all relate.
Yeah. Where you're like, I'm supposed to be serious here, but I can't
bring
really
back Charlie Steiner for a night.
That was trending last night, by the way, the Charlie Steiner reaction.
Scott off-key.
I mean, it was, I got thoughts on the national anthem, but it also shows you, because people, first of all, didn't know who she was. And then they're like, was that just like a regular?
Yeah.
Like, no, she's like, Grammy nominated. That just shows you in like modern country, is a haven for low to medium talent.
Yeah. There's a lot of them.
Man, there's a lot of pressure tonight on country star Cody Johnson to sing the national anthem.
He's got to deliver. You're right, though.
Never heard of him either.
That was the first.
I say he's good. I mean, I'm a country fan. He's not bad.
Okay.
But there's a difference between
the bar's low.
There's a difference between being good, like a good artist, and singing that song.
Mm-hmm. I just had a lot of questions. At some point, did she hit a key and then all of a sudden it just derailed, or was that her plan with the? I mean, at times, you had a sense of what the O face would sound like and look like in the national anthem too. There was
that O face.
There was a lot of takeaways there.
I saw the wristband on her wrist. I wonder where that wristband was too. Place to be.
Hit a couple pregame parties or pre-home run derby parties. You're right though, because it's that one thing that everybody tunes into on the All-Star week, and so you really had a little pressure to deliver, and that, we'll just say, opportunity was not seized. In that moment.
It was the moment where, and it definitely, that was something.
You're right. It did unite everybody, though.
Some people might think it was borderline treasonous, but it's the awkward moment. We've all been there. Like if you go to an event and someone's speaking, trying to tell a joke or something,
mm-hmm.
where it's the awkwardness, and everybody looks at each other and just kind of laughs.
Yeah, like,
that's what last night became. But here's the thing about the national anthem. You need to be amazing or bad.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Amazingly bad.
To be memorable, yeah.
Yeah, we can't really have anything in between.
No, you're right.
Because either you're going to be mentioned with Whitney Houston, or you're going to be mentioned with Fergie, Carl Lewis, Roseanne Barr, which still blows me away. That is now 34 years ago that she sang at the Padres game and was so brutal with the anthem.
Then the crotch grab and the spit at the end.
Now, I want to stand up for Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis's first 15 seconds were pretty good. And then he hit the uh-oh.
Yeah, the and then
hold on, everyone.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
But do you guys think that was real last night?
I'm still on the fence about that.
A lot of people went to her YouTube afterwards.
I did try to figure out, okay, what's the bit here? And then I was waiting for some type of post-anthem social media announcement from her. I bet she gained some followers just because people were really curious of what was being said.
What was her name? Ingrid something?
Andress.
Ingrid Andress.
Andress, yeah.
No relation to Elvis Andrews.
So our entire family was watching this last night.
Oh.
And at first, I said, "Ooh, that's not good," and it was right away.
Did you go to Carlos? Uh-oh.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I'm like, "Oh my!" I think my reaction because we were eating was, "Oh my god!" And then I think my wife would like to give anyone the benefit of the doubt. She's like, "Oh, I think she's just going with a different way."
Like Fergie.
Yeah.
By the way, is Fergie off the hook?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
about a London Bridge.
And then she kept going. And my wife says, "Okay, yeah, I don't think she's hearing herself right." And then when it got into the rockets, red glare, and the bombs burst in there, like, okay, this is really bad. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. We need more bad anthems.
We do.
And that's the takeaway here.
You're right, though. And it's 72-hour stretch from what happened on Saturday.
And you guys all laughed?
And the call for uniting everyone.
Yeah.
You're right. It did. Everyone can all agree that was bad.
Can't wait to see her at the RNC. Well, somebody's got to sing the anthem.
It's this week. What's going on right now?
14 minutes. Again, be amazing or bad. But I'm going to come to the minor defense here. So I would never, no one wants to hear me sing. And because of what she did yesterday, because people think I'd be making fun of her, I will not be rapping on the show today. I'm going to take a day off from rapping. So
in solidarity.
You've had some bangers on this show since I've been here.
America, you breathe a sigh of relief. Two things. I think it's probably a cool honor to be able to sing the national anthem. We have a lot of local sporting events and a lot of sports teams that hold auditions, and I've done a couple of sitting in to judge the auditions. It's a pretty cool honor to sing the national anthem.
You've sat in and judged?
Yeah, for the Storm Chasers.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you give on-site critique?
Damon, myself, and Brandy Peterson at Oakview Mall.
Wow. At Oakview Mall of all places, too.
Yeah. You know how long that thing lasted?
Probably too long.
About 4 hours.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now, some were better than others.
Well, Brandy's pretty good. Brandy's a great singer. She actually sang at our wedding.
But I would do the knowing minor league baseball where the Sunday games are kind of like the throwaway games and the Tuesday night games. Be like, oh, that's a Tuesday singer. Oh, that's really good. That's a Saturday night fireworks singer. It's a huge honor to be able to sing the national anthem. But from people that I have talked to that sing the national anthem and do it very well, they say it is a terrible piece of music.
How so? Just the
way, just how it is supposed to be sung.
Like
just
the melody?
It's a bad piece of music.
Just play it on guitar like Santana.
Let's maybe we change the national anthem to something that slaps. I mean, maybe
I'm listening.
Maybe Ingrid has changed America where we've got to change our national anthem. Like, "Oh Canada" is a really good national anthem.
It is.
The Star Spangled Banner is just kind of there.
But maybe, Canada lends itself to singing in the crowd.
Maybe it is time to change the national anthem.
Oh, America.
But professionals tell me that it's a terrible piece of music to sing.
But some
cool deal, terrible piece of music.
But like you said a little bit ago, you can become an icon by nailing that, by just delivering. Some of the, I mean, two of, and I'm glad to say one more recent than the other. I would put Chris Stapleton up there with Whitney Houston on two of the best national anthems I've ever heard, where by the end of it, you're just like, ooh, that was good. Damn. And then there's the other spectrum. We're like,
that's like Gene Stapleton.
All right, okay. Give me the punchline here. Okay. You did this as a joke. Okay. All right, you got me. I was listening. It was pretty good. It wasn't, ooh, that was good. It was okay, that was pretty good. I get it. It's a home run derby. It's not the All-Star game. I get it. There's the iron. Okay. Good stuff there.
Now, what probably made it a little bit worse last night is she's a professional singer.
Well, yeah. It's not like an athlete trying this or something.
She was not like, I was sitting in section 15 and they had a raffle and I get to sing the anthem at the home run derby. And I'm sure she's going to do an interview. Like Rinaldi will sit down with her.
Bring his piano.
It'll be Tom Rinaldi.
And she will cry.
Yeah.
And she will say, well, we had, I had something in my ear and it was off. So I immediately was off key. The other part of the question I had last night, because I was trying to through my uncomfortable laughter and thinking, this can't be real.
I agree.
Crossed our mind.
Is then I tried to figure out solutions. So I wondered, why are we singing the national anthem at a home run derby?
I was curious because this is actually the first time in a few years that I've watched the pregame leading up to it.
Way too long.
Yeah.
ESPN.
Big time. Oh, they were milking the crap out of that
I
thing.
about changed the channel and said, I'm good.
ESPN must pay a ton of money for the home run derby because they treat it like it is game day in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely. And I had a window there to keep my son engaged and interested in this before he wanted to watch freaking Bluey. So
no Bluey on the screen last night. Come on now.
I needed to get that thing going.
Oh, that Bluey was looking pretty good there.
They stretched it. I actually was. They stretched it. You're right. They really did. But I was wondering because I'm at that point like, okay, are we going to start hitting home runs? And then they're like, ladies and gentlemen, please rise. I'm like, oh, they're going to do a national anthem. And I thought that was interesting. I guess it's an event. I was trying to remember in the AAA one here.
Mm-hmm.
If we did a national anthem, and honestly, I can't remember.
Actually, it might have been Brandy.
It could have been. If it wasn't her for that, it would have been for the All-Star game. But I could not remember if they did one before the actual home run derby, and thought, okay, well, I guess that's probably something that you would do. So I don't even know how necessary it is before a home run derby like that, but I guess it's the event that night.
You know what? It made me laugh and smile. As a curmudgeon, as the resident curmudgeon of this show, it made me laugh and smile.
Of watching failure.
Yeah. Because it had nothing to do with me.
She definitely made a list.
And we're both a couple of Richards, so we were just laughing our asses off.
I don't know if
it actually kept me engaged.
That'd be you and your wife?
Yeah.
Just sitting there laughing.
Checking.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Either you laughed or you winced.
It's a tough piece of music to sing. But as a professional, you should have been better than that. Something went wrong. I'm gonna say something went wrong. Because listen, her and Sam Hunt did a song called Wishful Drinking that was super popular.
I've heard of that.
And last night she sounded completely different. Now in the country world, they really don't have feuds. So I imagine her text messages from her friends were like, "Oh, it's okay.
Oh yeah,
it's fine.
Oh, she's on the ground."
And then all of us sports people are like, "Man, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely just awful."
Look
what you did to our country. We needed an anthem.
Yeah.
We needed a banger. We needed something that got me fully hussed. And old Squiggly went back inside after that thing.
Old Squiggly.
Recovering homeschoolers.
Now, I have questions on that, but I mean, she did deliver what we needed. That was where we could all come together and say, boy, that was awful.
Well, so here's another part of the whole night. If it wasn't for
treasonous,
it was borderline treasonous. If it was not for Alec Boehm and Bobby Witt Jr., that was not a very good home run derby.
Hey,
but my pick almost did it.
Jose was good too. I was actually really, really happy.
I didn't think it was a very good home run derby. To be honest, you guys would not have been watching if it were not for a local angle.
Correct.
Correct. Thank God for Bobby. Thank God for Bobby.
Yeah.
The guy that won, who's not really recognizable player,
had the lowest odds.
If he walked into Hy-Vee today, do you think people know who he is? The Oscar Hernandez walks into Hy-Vee at 90th and Center. You think people know who he is?
Nah, but you'd be like, that guy does something.
You work at the Zone?
He's a big dude. He does something.
You sound like a guy that would walk across campus when you're in college and go, that looks like an athlete.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. I would have saw him in Hy-Vee and be like, he does something. I don't know what, but he does something.
Hey, thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Alec. The whole thing was a slog.
Yes.
It was a 3-hour slog that was saved by the local angle. And I think the biggest winner of last night is not the guy that got the gold chain. It is the guy that plays in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't even win and swung at a bad pitch. The last one that was the out at the wall swung at a bad pitch. I don't know. The night was
I'm not surprised.
Actually, I liked it.
And I think ESPN did it to me.
Just because of how long it was drug out.
Oh, here's my thing now with the home run derby. if it takes longer than 10 seconds to explain what the rules are, it's not.
It's probably overly complicated.
We're doing it wrong.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The length of it, I'm with you there. I found it entertaining, though. I mean, anytime you could end with a potential tying home run to go to I guess they would have had a hit off. I mean, literally at the deepest part of the park without going out. That was pretty awesome. And, to your point, give Bobby Witt Jr. a lot of credit. Alec Boehm wore a little bit of that chip on the shoulder early on. That was really, really cool.
I'm envious of his hair.
Oh, yeah, it was looking good. Alec Boehm also was a home run. See what I did there? During the national anthem, because he had the reaction, at least the reaction that they showed. For me, as a Cleveland Guardian fan, I was happy to see Jose Ramirez make it to the semifinals. But there was probably something to be said when you don't have, even though I chose him, so maybe I'm biased, Gunnar Henderson, some of your bigger names. That was amazing.
He was fun.
By the way, not only his bat, but
disappointed in his performance, but
his performance of doing the Scooby Doo was fantastic.
Should have actually just had an alternate cast with that.
Yeah, that was I was hoping Buster, when he first interviewed him and he said that he does an impression, like, okay, the natural follow up is you got to get him to do that. So I'm very happy
Buster to do it too, and they just start.
Yeah, like, come on, man. You got an opening right. It's a home run derby, for God's sakes. I mean, come on.
I like that Scooby Doo is still relevant.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
I just like, I
wonder
like
the whole family was watching.
that a young stud athlete is into Scooby Doo, because I thought that was something that the youngs don't even know about. But yeah, I mean, you lacked a little bit more, other than Bobby Witt Jr. You lacked a little bit more of the star power there towards the end.
No left-handed hitters. Wow. Except for Jose.
Yeah.
Why? That was weird that they didn't have more left-handed hitters.
Well,
they need to for this event to survive, two things. They need Snoop Dogg, and then they also need more long ball hitters.
Did you? Well, yeah, I would agree with that. Did you also find it to be an interesting question of, so do you think Jose will go back to righty? Like there towards the end, and thank God. And I don't know if it was Eduardo who chimed in or if it was Frazier saying, well, then you're going to need some more pitches to warm up on, and you're going to probably waste a couple pitches like that. To me, that's at the point where I knew this thing is going on too long when you're asking questions like that.
ESPN, again, must pay a lot of money for the home run derby because the way they treat it, and I mean, it's probably a tough event to host.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to bag on Carl Ravitch, but it's a slog. The whole thing is a slog. It should not be 3 hours. Again, they need Snoop Dogg on the set doing the home run derby. That would get me to watch it.
Same.
Because if you weren't a baseball fan, Nick, would you watch that?
No.
Yeah, because it's not interesting unless you have somebody of local interest or on your team that is in it and you watch. Hell, only one Dodger All-Star stuck around for Hernandez.
Yeah.
Last now. Everybody else bolted.
It's the LA way.
I'm good.
And leave early.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Beat traffic.
Case in point, I think we got through maybe the first few of Bobby Witt, because he hit second, right? The first. He was already. My son was already done with it. Because again, okay. So here's another part of it, of the presentation, that especially for younger people, and I'm not even saying a 3-year-old. I'm talking about even teenagers. That
actually, I want
you've got the pitch and you've got the split angle of where the ball is going. Yeah. And, there was a time where it was, you just had the wide shot of pitch going in, ball going out, and then you'd keep an eye on the ball. And I get it now that it's more of a time thing. It's probably advantageous to have that split screen, but you're tracking one ball. All of a sudden they've already swung and then they're going to another camera angle of trying to track another ball. And that's kind of that. At some point, it's like, okay, this is not easy to follow.
Yeah, I wish they would go back to outs, because then you could admire your Titanic blast.
Right. The timing part of it, it does. It makes it a little bit hard to follow each swing, where each ball's going, despite their best efforts of doing it. But by their best efforts, it makes it convoluted and kind of confusing.
Bring in Snoop. Also,
Snoop makes everything better.
Again, Bobby Witt Jr. is the winner of last night. There is no doubt. They have a window in baseball with Bobby, and Bobby should immediately be invited to Atlanta next year
to play,
because he's going to be playing in the game
for the Braves.
Yeah, you're going to be playing in the game. he should be in the home run derby. He's the winner of last night. But the other thing that makes this such a slog is ESPN does, a 30-minute lead up. And then at 7 o'clock Central, they don't start hitting until like 7:20.
If even.
You know what?
If even.
Let's start at 7. And it's also funny, if you look at your guide, like your TV guide to record it, ESPN always says it's going to be like 2 hours. It ain't 2 hours.
No.
They stretch that thing to 3.
Like, fine, I'm going to bed.
Jimmy, you asked.
They suffocated.
I think you asked the question yesterday. Does this thing still
ever going to end?
Does this thing still go to 10:30? And I like, no. It's they changed the rules. It should be lickety split. I think it ended just before 10:30.
Well, right after
I
Alec
think it was
eliminated
10:15.
him. I said, "F you, I'm going to bed."
Now there might be another thing with this event that it's a much better event to watch in person than on TV.
Well,
yeah.
Again, because you can track each pitch, each ball that you want to. So yeah, if you're there in person, you're not subject to the things on TV that unfortunately we're only going to see. And some of the different things, like I did like essentially it would have been the ump cam where you're ground level and then you're getting the launch angle and you're seeing exit velocity, but it's kind of like the top tracer. You're seeing the ball. Like that part was cool because then you're seeing every pitch, every swing. I liked that more than just the normal, the camera from center field that you're seeing ball go in, ball go out. And then the other camera has to track it. Then you go and split screen. I'm sure it'd be great. Again, and you were at this too. I've never seen a real home run derby at an All-Star game, but even the AAA one was entertaining. That was cool. I was there. It wasn't because I was watching it on some feed. I was there, and I thought that was pretty neat to see. I think for a lot of younger fans too, it would be a lot more of event that you would enjoy and stay engaged with if you were there in person, with your own eyes watching the ball fly out.
Didn't it seem like there were less kids shagging too?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It used to be so many in the outfield. I think they got more kids handing the Gatorade in between timeouts and whatnot.
If I was one of those kids in the outfield, I'd pull a Fred Lynn for all you olds out there. I'd leap over the wall and pull back a home run.
See, I wonder if they do tell them that, like, hey, if you get to the warning track, just let it go.
Well, like, what if?
Because there's a couple kids out there look like they had the ability to do that.
What if on Bobby's last shot that went to the wall? What if some kid robbed it? Like it was going to go out and some kid robbed
it. There's probably some type of rule for that would have been explained. Probably would have taken 50 minutes to explain to it. See, now, Gary, as we talk more about this, I was entertained last night, but there were some things that
it takes longer than 10 seconds to explain the rules of a home run derby.
100%.
You know what? Don't do it.
100% on that.
Also, fit in that 2-hour window for a change. Just try it out.
Well, and I forgot about the 425-foot bonus out. And these, I get it from their vantage point because they were on the field, the Baseball Tonight crew. Every ball that they knew was going out, like, oh, this might be it, and it was like 395.
Yeah, it's the same thing when you hear the reaction in a stadium nowadays when any ball is hit. Where it sounds like it's hit well, and it's in the air, and it ends up as
mid-range center field
fly ball at Fenway to the warning track.
Yeah,
sounded good.
Yeah, it went too long. I don't, and then when they have the timeouts, which are supposed to be 30 seconds, and they have the countdown in there, they're not seeing the next pitch in 30 seconds. That's when it's the whole it's the one whistle, time to get off the bench, get back, make your way towards the floor. Okay, final horn.
See, this whole discussion leads to a text I got last night of somebody said, they were asking about, have you played college football 25 yet? And I said, no, I'm watching the home run. Well, I have, but I'm watching the home run derby. And they said, you find that interesting? And I said, well, did you?
That's a good question.
I go, just Google Anthem, and then you will find out why tonight has been interesting.
Oh, it set the tone.
So sure. I think the biggest winner of last night is Bobby Witt Jr. And the other, Michael Buffer is 79.
Yeah.
Hello.
Whoa.
Yeah,
he looks great.
He is 79 years old.
Oh, he won't age. He doesn't age. He does not age. And that was kind of a nice little rabbit that they pulled out of the hat of, all right, now for the final, we're going to do
still
that.
Watching.
But why couldn't you do that just for the beginning of the actual home run derby? Is it just because there was more than two people? I don't know. That well, and that okay. Gosh, dang it, Gary. Not your coughing. I hope you're okay.
Damn.
Now you I do. I have airing of grievances here.
Good.
The build up to then the final round took forever.
Yeah.
That was also all right, now we got to darken out the stadium. We got to bring out Michael Buffer. We got to have him introduce it.
Michael Buffer, who once performed at a Lincoln Stars game. Rolled him out on the ice in a limo, got out.
How much did that
said
cost?
His phrase. It cost a pretty penny. Yeah. Michael Buffer.
Yeah, he's not cheap.
To come and say his catchphrase, which he has copyrighted, is not cheap. But that was, I like the touch of him being there last night. Did you guys like the Saturday Night Live comedian doing the intros?
Yes.
Was it just me, or did he butcher
That-
Alec Boehm's name? Because I was half paying attention, and when I heard that, I was like,
I don't know the Pete Alonso part that he calls it. He goes, and because he's big and white. That was pretty good.
It is North Texas.
I've been informed that for Michael Buffer, it's $5,000. This is back. It's like early 2000s, $5,000 plus travel.
So, okay, yeah. What I saw was 20, because I'd heard this and I didn't know if it was real.
I'll do it for $3.
That he gets $1 million per appearance. That's actually not quite accurate. Now, there are certain higher end events that he does get 1 million for, those extremely rare ones. But 25 to 100K per appearance.
Pretty good life.
To just say, let's get ready to rumble. Man, that's amazing. You realize how little you have to work.
That's why this is
and
such
how
a
rich
great
you
country.
are. It is. It is. Somehow, by the way, Ingrid Andress will become even more popular than she was, and she will be able to cash in on what happened yesterday. Even
I
though
never
it will
heard of
go
her till last night.
Yep.
Then I looked her up.
I hadn't either, and it will go down as one of the worst national anthems ever. But as long as she plays the game, she's going to cash in. She is going to cash in on that.
Should have just brought in Hawk Tua. At least I would have gotten some positivity.
Well,
by the way, she might be making an appearance in Omaha next month.
I thought you were going to say on the zone.
Her and her friend. There's a local establishment that has approached her management team. So she has a manager, a social media crew, a photographer,
oh my God,
and then another agent. And there's a place in Omaha that that would like to bring, because to have her make an appearance, her friend that's in the video comes with her.
The friend has to be there.
Yeah, so she may be coming to Omaha next month.
This is just insane. So you said she has an agent.
So she has
and essentially a booking.
She has a team.
She has an agent. Yeah, she has a team.
Oh my
so
God.
she has an agent. She has a, I guess you'd call she basically two agents. They have a social media person with her all the time, and they have a film crew.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Hey, I mean, Michael Buffer can do it. Haktua girl can do it. We could all
You know
do
what?
it.
That's right.
This
Yeah, get the bag.
This is America.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, and her friend is going to get a piece of just for being there.
Dueling Hawk Tuas.
Just for being there.
hey, we'd all like to be that friend. That
Oh, no kidding.
I mean, friends with benefits.
Literally.
The lineup for the show today, coming up in about an hour, Sam McKewon will join us.
We hope.
From the Omaha World Herald. Matt Brown stops by. Matt's played college football at 25.
I'm sure he had early access. He probably was playing it last year.
So, neighbor of mine had the early access version. It's pretty damn cool. It's pretty cool. The Nebraska no hail varsity is kind of odd.
Mm-hmm.
The white in the stands, but I gotta tell you, it's a banger. It's a banger. Kicking is hard.
Like real life.
Kicking is hard, and it's going to be tough to win at Memorial Stadium.
Wow, how accurate.
Oh, no, kicking is... So the two biggest challenges in just my hour playing, open field tackling and kicking.
Okay, you got to explain to me, and I don't know how much of a deep dive you were able to do with this.
But we're so back. We are so back with college football.
Down to the T, too, of being able to struggle during kicking as far as Nebraska. Okay, there's the I don't even know what the hell you'd call it. There's the little dial, the little meter on trying to make a real nice catch. That to me, watching some of the leaks, that looked like that could be difficult. Maybe it's not as difficult as what it just appeared to be, where you've beaten your man, but you've got to essentially get the meter or the dial into the green to make sure you secure the catch.
Yeah,
that could be on a different mode. I don't know.
If you haven't played video games and all of a sudden 11 years later you decide, or 10 years later you say, you know what, I'm playing this game. Some of your skills struggle a little bit. Okay.
ISO right, ISO left, ISO middle.
Yes.
I'm hoping by
It's
the
first
start
down.
of the actual college football season that I have an idea of what I'm doing. Because on Friday, I anticipate that there'll be a lot of rust. Because I haven't played Madden in about 4 or 5 years.
It's the rivalries will ratchet up, and Iowa people are upset at Nebraska. I'll explain that a little bit later. But Matt Brown will stop by at 8:30, and also Brian Christopherson. It is the lineup brought to you by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. More on the All-Star game. Bobby had a big night. Now we need to promote Bobby. Bobby needs to be recognizable across baseball, and he won't start tonight. But baseball has a chance tonight to put out some of their young stars on display, and maybe we get Skenes against Judge. It all comes down to the $500 million man, Juan Soto, to continue the inning. By the way, you can, on FanDuel, the velo on the first pitch tonight.
Oh.
Yes. That is a prop bet. You can always join the conversation at any point during the 4 hours on the 42 Degree The Source hotline, 402-951-1620, or the Equitable Bank inbox is always open. Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley at 1620thezone.com.
Also on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed, where it's always already hot and heavy, at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley 1620.
Yeah. Midgets look up to me. Fred Lynn, he taught me how to take care of my glove. He used the word supple. Yep, we're old. Rick says, so what I'm hearing you guys say this morning is I didn't miss anything last night.
You did. Okay. I'm still going to stand up for, there was drama at the end. Bobby Witt Jr. put on a show. Teoscar Hernandez was able to put on a show too.
Who?
Yeah, I know. But selfishly, I was very happy with Jose Ramirez.
You're not watching.
But Alec Boehm.
If the final is Teoscar Hernandez against
if it was Pete Alonso, I would have been out. Like, I'm good.
Pete in Cavilla.
Yeah, it was. If there was no local connection, people would have turned that thing off around here. It's just, it struggled last night. It was a slog. Slog is my new word. Slog. It was a slog.
But you missed some things.
Well,
like
if you
the anthem.
If you watch at the beginning, you're like, oh boy, this is going to set the precedent for the night.
It did.
That's what I thought.
That was the hook.
Also, you were saying that you think Ingrid is going to lean into this, and she may have already done it.
Okay.
Because she has a big concert announcement that has come out this morning.
Will she start it with the anthem?
Smart.
I will tell
People
you.
know who she is.
I will tell you about her concert announcement that just dropped.
Oh, good.
She's actually the next Casey Musgraves.
She might be. She might be smarter than we think. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, do you guys think Paul Skenes starting his college career at the Air Force Academy will come up at all tonight? Or will it be all about LSU? Oh.
I think it'll be brought up. Yeah. I think I feel like that conversation has been told lately, or has been part of the conversation lately, is Paul Skenes where he started. And there's just kind of something cool that if you get into maybe this sounds way too cliche, but the discipline that it takes to be committed to the craft of being a good pitcher, well, that started at the academy. It's almost, even if that had nothing to do with it at all. And then the fact that if he finished at the Air Force, would he be able to fit into a cockpit? There are regulations there.
There are.
Yeah.
I still think it's wild. Chad Hennings. I still think it's wild that he gave up a home run to Dylan Cruz when Air Force was playing at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, they're teammates on a national championship team.
And who gets picked first?
But Paul Skenes starts tonight for the National League. The All-Star game is later tonight. Welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. And Jimmy, he's got an update coming up after the top of the hour. We'll have morning gambling golf later this week. The Open is going on. We are not only so back that the fact that college football 25 early access was out yesterday, and Iowa fans are livid at Nebraska fans on the video game. Why? Because
they not wave?
Because So
oh, no.
They do the wave.
Yeah.
And visiting fans don't do the wave.
Oh, what the hell? What? Every visiting fan?
We are so bad that people are triggered about an action in a video game.
Visiting fans hate sick kids.
God, we needed this.
We also are so back because Big Cat is back. Over
Andres
in
Andres Skylar.
Over in England, they are getting ready for the Open at Royal Troon.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods was at the podium this morning. And he was asked a question that originated from a comment from Colin Montgomery. Remember when Colin Montgomery played here in Omaha at the U.S. Senior Open and got heckled?
Yeah.
He was like, Nebraska people are not supposed to be like that. He said that Colin Montgomery is saying that Tiger should retire. Tiger has clapped back.
Yeah, it was a good one, too.
As a past champion, I'm exempt until I'm 60. Colin's not. We are so back.
Oh,
USA.
Talking
red,
some
white,
trash.
and blue. USA.
And see, that's the thing.
And the Haktua girl may or may not be coming to Omaha. All right, continue on with your day.
No, that's the thing with Tiger now is more than ever, he is extremely comfortable in his own skin when it comes to letting that out. But that doesn't mean if you try to, I would still consider him, even though he's the tiger, the bear. When you poke the bear, he's going to be quick to respond. And now it's received a lot differently than if it ever was, even if he ever gave you that long time ago when he was at his peak. So I saw that this morning and I was like, that a boy, Tiger. Like before that, I'd be like, oh, Tiger, come on. Why are you getting so salty? Now it's like, yeah, a baby. Because, I mean, is Tiger Woods going to win this weekend? No, he's not going to win.
Are you saying I should not go with Tiger's odds?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, hey, if you hit, my God, good on you, but give yourself a shot.
So I was telling you, Ingrid, who sang the anthem last night, country artist.
4-time Grammy nominee.
Or 4-time Grammy loser.
That's on her profile.
She's the Buffalo Bills.
Again, that's why I think she's got a sense of humor.
Just remember, modern country music, the low to medium talents, it's
everybody wants to be one in that area in Nashville.
But I give her credit because everybody's got to chase the bag. She has announced a new tour this morning.
Is it anywhere close?
I
do we have tour dates yet?
Imagine. I mean, there's enough venues around here that she could perform. But I think this is an interesting pairing on the heels that it may make sense of what she did to the anthem last night and who she has announced that she is touring with.
Fergie?
Enrico Palazzo.
Bunch of bombs in the air.
That we still have our flag.
Now, It is a song. If by chance, sometimes the wireless mic goes out, and you've got up in the audio booth, you got to play a fill-in.
Mhm.
And a lot of people like the default is like Whitney Houston.
Yeah. Yes.
Steve from Ralston, the mic went out. We're sorry, but here's Whitney Houston. And Steve just stands there with the mic, and it's like, oh, God.
A couple years
You
ago.
remember the Kevin Brady one at an Omaha baseball game?
Yeah, and I'm guilty. I'll explain that in just a moment. But what if somebody in the audio booth had it queued up for Enrico to sing? And
That would be amazing. You just go to the Naked Gun, Enrico Palazzo. Oh, gosh. You might as well lean into it.
So the Kevin Brady one, Kevin, who used to be on the facilities crew for Omaha Athletics.
Great dude.
Now is in the Tucson public school system. Saw him. We were passing at O'Hare.
Oh, he's no longer with Grand Canyon?
No.
Okay.
He left. I was doing PA for a game. Where was it? Was that at Boys Town?
Yeah, it was Boys Town. Or was it Millard North? Because I know they had it was one of the two. Anyway, yeah, it was one of the two.
So they have the computer that has all the sounds on it.
Yeah.
And we get ready for the anthem, and all they're going to do is just hit play, and it's. I don't even think it was words. I think it was the
it's just
and it didn't work, and so we both stared at each other, and I said, "Kevin, we got to play the anthem," and he's like, "What do I do? What do I do?" And I said, "Kevin, sing it,"
and he did,
and he did.
And he, I believe, had the S word in there too at some point because he got lost.
I am so fortunate that he forgave me for that. Put him on the spot. We got to sing it. Somebody's got to sing it. What are we going to do? The teams were like waiting, and it was the uncomfortableness of people looking around. What do you do? And then people are looking back at the press box.
Yeah, that's when they know, okay, something's up there.
Yeah. And so I was holding the mic, and I said, "Kevin, you got to do it. You got to do it." I handed it to him. He was like, "Oh, say."
Local recording artist Kevin Brady.
I did introduce him as that. Again, I would never attempt it. I think it's a difficult song to sing. And you're either amazing or you're bad.
Or you're bad. Yeah. If they're in between, you're not memorable.
And also,
might as well be memorable.
And you know what? If you're going to be bad, make it quick.
Yep.
Just fly through that thing.
Yep.
People get it. They'll understand.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may be upset.
Yeah.
But not everybody is. Not everybody is Whitney.
You got some booze earlier in the rendition last night too.
Did you?
I
didn't hear those
because I needed to be validated on what I was hearing, and it didn't take long afterwards. When I went to social media, I'm like, okay, everyone else heard what I heard. Yeah, it was before we even got to the Rockets Red Glera that there was starting to get a couple of boos in there because it was really bad. And like you said,
but she had a great time at the beer garden.
We needed a really good national anthem yesterday.
Did. Yeah, last night
we did.
So Cody Johnson, you're on the clock tonight.
Yeah, got to deliver, man.
Do you think he's extra practice?
He's probably throwing up right now.
Now they rehearse that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, and I wonder what rehearsals sound like.
They do in the sound system because that's, in all honesty, that's kind of where I'm at with what happened. I don't think she could be that bad. It had to be some type of either
bad.
You have to believe.
She was, yes.
She was bad.
When you're, and you've experienced this, Jimmy, hell, you probably experienced this too.
I've never sang the anthem.
But when you're either doing some type of announcing and you're talking into the microphone and then you hear that slight delay.
Today.
Yeah.
I feel
that if you're not used to that, it can completely derail you. And then all of a sudden, especially I would assume as a singer, it just completely screws with your pitch. So maybe she didn't do any type of rehearsal before. I would assume she did, but a ballpark that
You're being
big,
too nice. She was Marla Hooch singing to Nelson. Come on.
I'm
call it what
singing
it is.
to Nelson. Ain't I, baby?
You sure are.
I just hope there is something tonight that this All-Star game is not known for a national anthem of a home run derby.
Yeah.
Hey,
come on. Hey, Paul Skenes, you're on the clock too, buddy.
I like where baseball is.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the new kids are taking over.
Yep.
if we don't get anything tonight, and this whole All-Star game is known for an anthem and a home run derby,
That would be fitting.
then we're in trouble.
Rob,
Then
I'm
we're
sorry,
be
man.
15 seconds in
Yep.
when Carl, uh-oh.
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 46 days.
Coming up, an update with Jimmy. Sam McKewon will stop by at 7:30. Matt Brown stops in at 8:30. He's played the game. You've played the game.
No, I haven't.
I haven't.
It's
But I'm living vicariously through everyone.
Yeah,
else.
I'm just
Till I get
living.
it.
I'm living on social media of all of the different leagues and everyone else's experience with it.
It is.
We should have Joey check in. He played it.
There,
Oh, yeah.
man. It's
You might be through a whole season.
it's really good. I mean, they did a really, really good job. Like you're gonna become addicted.
I
already know.
I'm already prepared for it. I'm already prepared for that.
It's like Scott Weiland and heroin. Just give me that game.
It'll also help rivalries.
Mhm.
I mean, you can take out your hate on your first team you're playing is Iowa.
So do we
You just
have
run it down their throat with a triple option?
Do we have the same levels as we did before, where you could be JV varsity All American Heisman, or I might have that? Yeah, I think that's where the easiest one is like JV or varsity.
That I don't know.
LOL.
I just know.
I'm gonna need to ease into it.
I just know that you don't need a disc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? That's how things have changed.
Technology.
That's Jimmy's got an update coming up next. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Just have her back tonight to sing the anthem. What's the worst that can happen? Give me a reason to watch. Nebraska baseball's Brett Sears was selected in the 7th round. The draft by the Atlanta Braves. Sears, who became the 4th 7th round selection in NU history, was the number 221st pick overall. He becomes the 5th Husker pitcher under Will Bolt to be drafted in the first 10 rounds, joining Spencer Schwellenbach, Cade Povich, Emmett Olson, and Jace Kaminska. The senior is the 6th Husker to be selected by the Braves in the draft after earning unanimous second-team All-American. Shout out TBS. Storm Chasers outfielder Drew Don't Call Me Ricky Waters was named the International League Player of the Week for his performance July 8th through the 14th. He led the league, going 9 for 21 at the plate during Omaha Series win over Toledo. He also led the league with 22 total bases, connecting for 4 doubles, 3 home runs, while driving in 8 runs, drawing 3 walks as well. He collected 2 hits in 4 of the 5 games he played in the series, and not only recorded a hit in every game he played against Toledo, but also scored a run and drove in a run in 5 games as well. The Orioles' Corbin Burns will start for the American League in tonight's All-Star game against the Zone's Paul Skenes. Burns is 9-4 with a 2.93 ERA in his first season with the Orioles, who acquired him from the Brew Crew just before spring training. He won the Cy Young in 2021. He is an All-Star for the 4th straight season. He'll become the 5th Orioles pitcher to start an All-Star game, the first since Steve Stone in 1980, who many of us grew up with on WGN. Younger listeners are, what? Adrian Beltre will throw out the ceremonial first pitch at the All-Star game. His final team, Texas Rangers, 5 days before the former San Antonio Missions legend was inducted as a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll be accompanied by 3 other former Rangers in the Hall of Fame, Fergie Jenkins, Nolan Ryan, and Pudge Rodriguez. Beltre is set to be enshrined in Cooperstown this Sunday. He's 45 now. Wow.
Got to kick off the draft, too.
Yeah, he played the final 8 of his 21 seasons with the Rangers and made his only World Series appearance in his first year in Texas in 2011. Rangers fans don't like to be reminded of that. It's okay. It all worked out for them last year. In college football, the ACC, well, however long that's going to continue, and the Southeastern Conference, where it just means more, announced yesterday that it will collaborate with Apple to bring iPad technology to sidelines and coaching booths for the upcoming football season. The ACC said in a statement that all 17 football members, remember it includes Cal, SMU, and Stanford, through Atlantic Coast Powers, will have access to league-provided iPad Pro and iPad Air models for video playback. The change comes after the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel approved the use of in-game video in April. Can't wait till that first pinwheel of death happens. And finally, the Bengals and T. Higgins did not reach a long-term deal at a Monday's 4 o'clock deadline, leaving the wide receiver to play for Cincinnati on the 1-year franchise tag. It also puts him in a unique category. One of 8 NFL players who were designated as a franchise player in March, Higgins is the only one who did not receive a multi-year deal by Monday's deadline for players who received the franchise or transition tag to reach long-term deals. Sounds like he has my kind of luck. 2 of those players were traded before reaching deals. Brian Burns to the New York Giants and L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans. Higgins is set to earn a paltry $21.8 million this season via his franchise tender. I'm sure they'll be taking up a collection plate in the locker room to make sure he's able to make ends meet.
Thank you. Yeah. There needs to be more.
Oh yeah, I'm in one today.
There needs to probably be more of a discussion about the impact of NFL Lite with iPads on the sidelines and in-helmet communication and how that's going to affect the game, either for the good or the bad.
I would like to think that it's going to, especially for young players right now in college football, that this is a very good thing. But think about it. If you're in Dylan Raiola's shoes and you've already got a lot that, I know Matt Rhule is not saying this, but we're just naturally going to expect it out of him, that you're introducing this new technology to where younger players, I think, are a little younger student athletes all across the board, but especially offensively, are probably a little bit more accustomed to this. This is where I'm curious on how veterans, sophomores and juniors that are a little bit further removed from whatever their high school might have had, that you're coming back around to this. And I don't know, spring, just having that introduced in a lot of spring camps, is that enough that's going to keep you engaged? Engaged is the wrong word, but is that going to be enough that you're going to be very familiar with it, where it's just kind of second nature, where it's just you're on the field?
It depends on who's on one end of the headset,
yeah, that's a good point.
Who's receiving it. But I think there's also how this is going to impact defenses. Be fascinating. It's something that hasn't been talked about much. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a little bit more now that media days are here. I think this needs to be a question about what is going to be the impact? And especially with a guy like Rhule, I hope it comes up in his 4,000 interviews next week in Indianapolis because he's an NFL guy that is familiar with this technology.
Yeah.
So next week is Big Ten Media Days and ACC Media Days. SEC is day 2 in Dallas. Hell of a time for Dallas. Dallas has the SEC Media Days, and in Arlington is the All-Star Game. Yesterday was quiet.
Yeah, it was.
Like, what happened to the craziness of SEC Media Days?
It was more exciting to see. Everybody was more conversing about Nick Saban being on the other end of it.
I think
being
Drinkwitz
in the media
is today. He'll run his mouth.
The media side of it.
Never back down.
We'll run it.
Tom Petty wrote a song about you, Jimmy. I just
You don't know how it feels?
Not being in Birmingham, you don't have the gumps.
That's true.
You don't have people hanging out in the lobby.
You don't have the gumps.
There just was really there was no craziness. The only thing I saw is
more of
that
a respectable SEC fan in Dallas.
some of the more established SEC media are not happy with the Texas media because
Why?
Because they were showing up and every question was geared towards Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brian Kelly's up there. Hey, what's it going to be like recruiting against Texas?
Yeah.
Hello, he's probably been doing that for 3 years in Baton Rouge.
All of a sudden, I don't know what I'm doing.
Now the other leagues are like, how's it feel? They're your problem now.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait till they want their own
The
network.
best news of the day yesterday was not the early release of College Football 25, but our good friend Andy Kendi was back behind the desk last night, the circular desk at KATV after a 2-month health scare that Andy has documented when he has made his bi-weekly appearances. He was back last night, so it was good to see him.
Yeah.
Went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs.
He gets to come back, and the good thing is, too, you just get to ease right back into it because the next week you get Big Ten Media Days, and then you're covering practices and then away into the season. That would have been kind of tough all of a sudden, a week before the college football season starts, that all of a sudden you're back at it. Andy's a pro, wouldn't miss a beat, but I'm glad that he gets to come in during a time that, there's not as much going on. You can just refamiliarize yourself with everything.
So it was good to see him back last night, and also good that his key card worked.
I saw that. He was a little worried, apparently.
I'm skeptical every morning when I walk in.
Who hurt you?
Jimmy, let's talk.
Who hurt you? Who hurt you between the time that you woke up and now it's 7:10 in the morning?
Did you read a tweet or something today?
Honesty Tuesday.
Hey, real quickly, too, shout out, guy you know as well, Bill McGuire. Why do I say shout out to Bill McGuire? Because Josh Caron joins Bill McGuire as the highest catcher taken in the MLB draft. Josh Caron, and you got to go all the way back to 1985 with Bill McGuire.
Jeff Christie was pretty high, right?
He was.
I mean, he wasn't where Bill McGuire was, or even Josh Caron. I think Jeff Christie,
7th or 8th.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I did not see Bill McGuire as much this year umpiring.
He was on one of the Nebraska Creighton games, if I remember correctly.
Because usually when Bill is umpiring, everybody in the stadium knows about it,
or he'll let you know.
I did not see him.
I'm just kidding, Bill.
I'm not. I did not see him out as much.
He might have been doing bigger games.
Okay. Well, good for him.
Yeah.
He has been umping since his pro career ended.
Yeah.
I mean, good on him.
I got introduced to Bill McGuire at a very young age.
He threw you out of a game?
He threatened me, and there were some umps that I'd call their bluff. And I was a snot-nosed little assistant coach
mouthy
at the time, too. I was getting pretty mouthy, and there were a couple umps that let me get away with it. Bill did not. And so
he tossed you.
No, he didn't toss me.
No, this would be better if he tossed you.
He didn't.
And then you could just, that's why I dislike Bill McGuire. So sorry, Bill, when I was doing the Nebraska games and you were working.
And I was just like, that is a horse crap strike zone right there.
I was just crushing you.
I was like, that strike zone. Yeah, it's a Bill McGuire strike zone right there.
Earl Weaver and Bill Haller.
No, an old guy in Grand Island. The only time I got tossed was an old man in Grand Island. And for something really, really dumb. I mean, it was.
Was he related to the Verzals or the Fishers?
No, not as far as I know. But
Phil Ellis was working a game?
This was in the spring, too. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure they still do this. If you get kicked out of the game, I'm assuming in all sports.
You have to walk back to Omaha?
No, you have to take a class.
What?
Yeah. I had to take a coaching ethics class.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Is this kind of like when you...
It's like a diversion class. So it's stricken from the record, I guess. I don't know.
Is it the NSA sportsmanship diversion?
Pretty much, yes.
Really?
Yes, this would have been in 2010, I believe.
What was the magic word you used?
I didn't. That was the funny thing.
So you didn't challenge it?
I did appeal. Yes.
Yeah.
And since they were rolling this out, they did not have an appeal system. Even though I had to pay for the class, Columbus ended up reimbursing me for it. But
that's nice.
It was like $40. And so I said, if there's some type of fee that I have to come up with, there should be an appeal process. Jim Angeli, at the time, who I love Jim Angeli, great guy, no longer with the NSA anymore, thought that was also, he's like, that's a good point.
I like Jim. Jim was a good media guy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was. And he'd said, well, we don't have one in place right now, but we will look into that. So I don't know if they ever did, but yeah, it's like a 4-hour online coaching ethics class. What happened? There was a play at the plate. I was in the first base coach's box, and clearly, our guy not only beat the play at the plate, but the catcher never had the ball, and the umpire didn't have the angle. And so the catcher's trying to find the ball, and then he shows it to the ump, and he bangs him. And I left the box saying, he doesn't have the ball. He doesn't have the ball. He doesn't have the ball. He tossed me for that because I left the box.
Iowa JD
I've said way worse.
He would toss you as well.
That's fine.
People in Des Moines, Iowa JD will be working a softball district final tonight to go to state.
Ooh, better weather there tonight.
I don't want to
than last
reveal
night.
where he's going to be at, but it'll be in suburban Des Moines, a place that when I was growing up in Urbandale was basically a farm community, and now is a bustling suburb.
This place we were just talking about earlier today?
It actually is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There's a concert there this
for
Saturday.
everybody out there that would like to go see Iowa JD, who does a fantastic job umpiring softball, go see him tonight. He'll be over in Des Moines.
Nice.
Go Rail Splitters. All right, 7:14. Sam McKewon's coming up before the hour is over. When we come back, speaking of the NSAA, I'm going to raise a question about Memorial Stadium and the future of the state football championship on grass.
Ooh.
You guys also know that Thanksgiving is later this year?
Yeah, it's very late.
It is the 28th.
So high school football, usually begins week 1 is the week before Nebraska opens up.
Yeah, it's week
and
0.
then week 2. This year, because Thanksgiving is later and the state championships aren't until the 25th and 26th, high school football doesn't start until the week of the first game, that Labor Day weekend. It's thrown me completely off.
Yeah,
like
the
old days.
I had to do a double take of that. When I was when Omaha released their hockey schedule, I was trying to see if we had hockey on Thanksgiving weekend. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we do, because they play on the 21st or the 22nd and 23rd. I'm like, oh, okay, that's obviously going to be Thanksgiving weekend. Then I realized that's the week before.
Would the NSA move the state football championships or just go ahead and be fluid on a grass field that's coming to Memorial Stadium in 26? Get into that. Sam McKewon again will stop by a little bit later. Matt Brown, he's played the game. You've played the game. We'll all play the game. Have you played the game? Also, Brian Christopherson will stop by as well. It's on a Tuesday edition, going up on a Tuesday, 1620 The Zone. Hey, you could be going to 132nd and West Dodge in the Linden Market because your good friends over at Lindley's Clothing, their annual Sidewalk sale starts this Thursday, and it's going to be so hot. You're going to want to get there right away. Actually, the temperatures are going to be really nice. The savings are on fire. Spring and summer menswear, 50 to 70% off the original price, plus those great-looking David Donahue dress shirts, 20 to 50% off. Hello, 132nd and Dodge in the Linden Market. You will love what you're going to find. Top-notch customer service. They're there to take care of you. They'll get to know you by name, not by, oh, what did you get? Yeah. Go see them today. John Marlene, the entire staff. Plus, don't forget, this Saturday, get gear and get food. John will be on the grill serving up hot dogs, cool refreshments. It is Lindley Clothing's annual Sidewalk sale. It starts this Thursday, 132nd and West Dodge in the Linden Market. Saw yesterday the pride of Aurora, Nebraska. Austin Allen is retiring, hanging up the cleats. Not sure what he's going to do, if he'll get into coaching or he'll move back to his hometown. But Austin Allen announced on social media that he is retiring.
Younger, but yeah, I guess it's nuts. That wasn't very surprising though.
Oh, did something happen?
Huh?
No, you said it was surprising.
No, I said that. I guess it's not overly surprising. Just when you've seen this, I think a lot more now, where younger players and maybe your role isn't quite as defined as what you're hoping it would be. You move on from it. So, yeah, nothing physically that I'm aware of.
So I thought a lot about grass lately. Okay,
You signed the petition too.
I probably signed.
Did you go buy beer, wine, and spirits?
I probably signed petitions. I have no idea what I was signing because I used to just go with "I'm not from here."
Yeah,
I don't live in Douglas County.
I used to say the same thing, like or I already signed it.
And then I felt bad if people were just blowing the petitioner off. I'm like, what do you got?
Yeah.
Okay, sign it. So I probably signed like for medical marijuana in Nebraska. Probably on there about 6 times. I'm probably 5 of them are going to get thrown out. But I thought about grass a lot, and especially with Troy Dannon, who was not afraid to share information. By the way, he floated that trial balloon to see who would not leak it 2 months ago. An hour after that meeting, somebody was in the meeting was like, hey, did you know Nebraska's going to grass?
Yeah, we take grass serious in Nebraska.
So now that Nebraska's Memorial Stadium is going to make the transition to grass in 2026 with their fantastic turf management program, they're going to have it heated. So it's kind of, I'm going to use Lambeau Field as an example where it not necessarily bright green, but it doesn't look like it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to keep in mind, and I first saw this brought up a good Twitter account, Suit Up Varsity, who does a lot of old school Nebraska high school things, said, what happens to the state football championships, which play 6 games right now on a field turf surface, so it doesn't matter, and they work around Nebraska's schedule. The responses were kind of interesting because I've gotten this as well, is Memorial Stadium is a large venue.
Mm-hmm.
And the state high school football championships, even in like Class A, might draw 7,000.
Yep.
And they're limited to a couple of sections on each side. And the vast stadium kind of swallows you up. But it's for the experience of the kids. That used to be a prevailing theme. I am sensing more of, Memorial Stadium is just gigantic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem as intimate. But I think that the state football championships, even with going to grass, because there's 6 extra games, will stay in Memorial Stadium and will work around Nebraska's schedule. So you will always play either after week 11 or after week 12. Like this year, the 25th and the 26th, 25th is a great day in this country, will be the state championships. That is after Nebraska's last game.
Somebody turned a new age that day?
Many do.
One more trip around the sun.
All right.
We'll see if we stop anywhere.
All right.
But so Nebraska's last home game is in week 11 or the 11th game of the year, and then they finish at Iowa. So you'll go after the last Nebraska game. Because I imagine when they go to grass, it's going to be expensive for the upkeep. You also probably will have some resodding that'll go on during the season.
Yeah.
But if it's heated, when you get to that later in the year,
yeah.
I mean,
it's gonna be pretty sweet.
I think you'll still play at Memorial Stadium. I don't see it leaving Memorial Stadium because I don't know where it would go that everybody'd go, man, that's pretty cool that it's there.
And it's so cool to get to play
No offense to Seacrest, to Buell, but I think also Lincoln would try extremely hard not to let it leave, first of all, Lincoln, but Memorial Stadium. It'll just be interesting in the scheduling of how this is all going to work out.
I know we asked the question, how many grass fields exist anymore in high school venues? I don't think.
That is weird. I never thought I'd hear that.
I don't think
question.
many.
Well, okay, so in this city, I think Roncalli was the last, and Roncalli has just done a turf project.
Yeah. So other than 8-man,
I mean,
I don't think you have any grass fields.
Thank God with no Burke available. So you have Prep and Burke are playing all over the city.
Mhm.
Thank God they're like Northwest is not grass or they don't use Burquist anymore, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
think
There's a
I
blast from the
think
past.
I think
Or
we are
Norris Middle School. That was Burquist.
I
that's
think
right.
we are done with grass football fields in the Omaha metro area.
I think so too. This is going to be the grass nerd in me. Okay, so I honestly do think for once it's actually going to be really cool to play Memorial Stadium. And I've told you this many, many times. I think one of the coolest environments that I ever watched a state championship game in was the old Snake Pit in Papillion when Papillion played Millard South. It was a 95 state championship. Great teams. Mike Muma, Gibson from Papillion. Gibson, yep. He had Josh Miller. Oh, man. It's Millard South. And they ended up winning. Brock Barron, some really good players that throughout the metro. It was awesome. It's played at Papillion. It was standing room only to the fact that you had fans bordering the track. So not only did you have the stands completely full, which if people remember the old Papillion Snake Pit, it wasn't a big stadium. It wasn't even close to the size of Buell, but since they were the higher seed, they had the opportunity to host it. This was the last year before it went to Memorial Stadium. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It gave you a small town feel. The crowd was intimate. They're right on top of you. They were packing them in as much as they could. To me, that atmosphere is unmatched. When it moved to Memorial Stadium, and I had friends who played in that inaugural state championship game, and again, ironically, it was Millard South versus Papillion. It was
the Millard South won that, right?
Millard South won the one at the Snake Pit, and then Papillion won it the following year. They still
96?
Yep. They still had Mike Muma, and then Jeremy Schlechter was a sophomore, so they got a little bit better. It was, from what I understand, it was the experience, coming out of the tunnel and playing in front of the big stadium. And I'm sure that still has an impact. Like, I think there's a lot about Memorial Stadium, especially as it changes. And as a lot of times, I'm assuming now with the new facilities open, you have that much cooler. But I heard from coaches that had also experienced it, especially early on. And they said once the game gets going, even in a really well-attended state championship game, that it almost, in a way, kind of like we talk about with Creighton baseball playing at Charles Schwab Field, where, boy, this is kind of cool. And then at some point it sort of wears off on you because your fans are there, but you can't really see them. You're kicking into these empty end zones because nobody's on either side. It's kind of flat at once you kind of get going. I'm telling you, though, playing on that type of grass, I think it's sweet. I just think it would be so cool. Like, for me, I would be so geeked out and be like, this is essentially what pros play on. Like, this isn't even like it'll be a great college surface, but you would feel like a pro. I think that would be awesome. Now, again, you're still dealing with a very large venue where even if 8,000, 9,000 show up, it's still what it is. But the surface, I think, would be cool. Now, if I had my way,
what would 6 games look like?
It's a great question, because think about it. The Class A and Class B state championships, they're going to be on the tail end of that. I would assume eventually, like after a couple of years, when they have their routine down, would look fine. But that first year, it could be a little bit rough. But if I had my way, honestly, Gary, I would still do the home venues, the campus sites. I still think that those are so cool.
There'll be on line one. There'll be somebody from the Benson team in '94 that had to go to Norfolk to play.
Yep,
got beat that. Now I remember that. That was a Chad Bell team that was really, really good.
The Velans were on that Benson team. Dan McLaughlin coached that Norfolk team.
I don't think we'll ever get to the host site, like the top seed hosting. But I will say it was kind of unique during the COVID year when they still had the state championship game and they were spread out. So Sevier and I did the Aurora Elkhorn High game out at Elkhorn.
Yeah.
And that was kind of unique.
Yeah.
It was in November of COVID 2020. And there was a really, really good crowd, and it was a cool atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then I remember our game started early because they tape delayed our game on public media. And then I was able to get in the car and drive to Westside because Westside and Elkhorn South were playing for the state championship in A over at Phelps Field. It was packed.
Yeah.
It was a great atmosphere. That was pretty
I think it's awesome.
That was pretty cool. I don't know that we're ever going to go to that. But if you would ever leave Memorial Stadium, is Seacrest the default? It's 10,000. They got plenty of parking. They just redid the field, by the way, at Seacrest. It's a
good video
place.
board.
Like Omaha, if Omaha wanted to make a bid, if there was any like opening to say, hey, the state football championship might leave Lincoln, like if you're Omaha, what would be your options?
Werner Park.
But you'd be so far away.
I know.
Like even downtown at the Downtown Day Trader, you'd be far away.
Yeah.
I mean, Buell's
probably you can. I think because they
seven most,
and they still have a little bit of the overflow capability there. That I would assume you could probably squeeze 85.
Could you do? Now you'd have to add some seats. Could you be old school and bring back Caniglia Field?
I was just thinking of that.
All turf.
Now with the turf, essentially you would just have to repaint. And so and you could talk to anybody who went to prep. In certain games when prep was playing, in fact, prep Westside, when they had to host, that thing was full. And it was pretty sweet. UNO football, old hats like myself. Anytime Kearney was in town or Northwest Missouri or a playoff game, place was full. Pretty cool venue. And this is, I add in the reason I think home venues are even cooler now, or if you have a more intimate stadium, is look at going all the way back to 95 when you had your last, other than the COVID year, when you had your last true format of the higher seed always hosting when it got to the state championship game. You didn't have video boards. You didn't have solid turf technology. You didn't have a lot of the amenities that you have now. So not only are you still getting that intimate environment, but you have a lot of cool technology that is involved that can enhance, I think, the atmosphere itself, other than just people packed in and having some of those great environments. I still think from the baseball perspective, I think one of the coolest things, even though the field wasn't the best, playing at Seymour Smith for a state tournament game where you have all the stands are packed and fans are lined up down the left field line, the right field fence line, was one of the coolest environments I've ever seen. So I am a sucker for where it feels like the crowd is on top of you. And if you can throw in the monitored amenities that a lot of high school venues have now, I think that I still think that experience goes unmatched.
I think they work around the Nebraska schedule and they keep it there. But it'll be kind of interesting how the grass will hold up because, Nebraska's probably going to be hosting a playoff game like a couple of weeks later.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Just looking through results. I would tell you one of the craziest things about Class A state championships, and I'm looking in the 90s, is that the Walt Olson team in 93 with Hastings beat Lincoln Southeast, a really good Lincoln Southeast team. Walt Olson, pretty good football coach.
Yeah.
Because I think Hastings, like a couple of years prior, hadn't won a game. And then they went unbeaten in 93. Now, Bo Butenbach was he was like the leader of that team. They went into Seacrest and beat Southeast in a state championship game.
We had to play them. I don't think Butenbach was on the team. I just remember the quarterback was Tom Chick. Hastings, that was our first year at Millard West. We had to go on the road and play Walt Olson's team, and they made it look easy.
You guys got your steps in.
We were 0-9 that year.
Well, you didn't recruit well enough.
Yeah.
That's very true.
NIL, man.
You would think for I was a transfer, for God's sakes.
Did you guys not have the NIL budget of Millard South?
We did. We put a lot of that money into new uniforms.
Gotta look nice.
What?
We did have some sweet uniforms.
Be a good year for high school football in this area.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be some dudes playing. Millard South is just stacked. Absolutely stacked.
I was talking to a baseball coach.
And this year we get Millard South and Westside in the final.
This is kind of becoming an outside rivalry too, outside of the old traditional prep West Side and Millard South, Millard North, or Millard North, or Millard South, Millard West.
There's dudes on both rosters.
Yeah.
There's some big time dudes on both rosters. All right, big time dude is Sam McKewon, or at least that's what it says on his Twitter bio. He'll join us next from the World Herald on 1620 The Zone. All right, off and rolling on a Tuesday. This time next week, the Big Ten Media Days will be going on in Indianapolis, where Sam McKewon and the rest of the Omaha World crew will be. Good morning, Sam.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How are you doing? You ready for this? Off-season's almost over.
Yes, I am ready.
Sam, Caleb, and Roma Dunze have not signed yet, though. What the F?
What's going on? They'll cover it on Hard Knocks.
Yes, they will.
I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, there's some sort of language that they want to go over with the Bears, because the money is not. It's a slotted deal, so like it's not. There's not a lot to argue over with money. I don't know. It's not a good sign. Like it's just like, okay, you get these really top end players, and no, we're gonna make it hard. Really?
Mm-hmm.
We got to make it hard, huh?
Yeah.
But that's life as a Bears fan. I guess.
It is. You're right. Absolutely.
Hey, let's just touch briefly on the. It had been out there, but now it's public. Is Memorial Stadium going to grass? And we're still a couple years away. And you know, Matt Rhule wanted it, and Matt Rhule probably has a list of things he can ask for whatever he wants right now. But I go back to what Troy Dannon said when he got here. So Memorial Stadium is going to make the transition to grass, and it's going to be on a short list of college football stadiums that are all grass. And I go to the Dannon quote, Sam, for your question for you is, does it help us win? Is there an advantage of Nebraska going to grass that could help them?
I think they would say that it helps them with injury prevention. So if they're able to convert all the fields to grass, is the indoor one? I don't know if the indoor stadium field is going that, but if they convert all the fields to grass, then they will reduce their injury load by 1 or 2 a year. Whether or not that's the Bly Hill or Demetrius Bell injuries, I don't know. I think that they feel like that will reduce sort of the impact. Hopefully it's not produced turf. So, we'll see what happens. I think it's a preference in terms of wear and tear and yeah, I mean, I told a story yesterday. Like many years ago, we were touring the turf when it was like brand new again. I don't know, they put in a new set of turf.
Mm-hmm.
I remember asking an NU official, have you guys ever thought about going back to grass? And he looked at me and he goes, no. the way he said it was like, what are you talking about? And so I was like, okay, I won't ask again. And, like Iowa State, Michigan State, Penn State, they have grass. And, so does Soldier Field, and so does Heinz Field, and so does Arrowhead. And some of these stadiums get really messed up. I mean, Arrowhead can be a mess in December, but it doesn't hurt their winning. I mean, Kansas City wins more home games than anybody. They have great home field advantage, and they manage on that turf. It'd probably be nicer if it were for Kansas City for that offense, if it were, field turf, but this reduces the wear and tear on, Patrick Mahomes' knees. So I think they feel like they want to do it, and I think there's some advantage to it. And, they'll be able to make it work.
Gary brought up this in our last segment about what this means for possibly the future of state championships when it's easy to pound on the field turf, but now you're all of a sudden trying to maintain grass. I'm with Gary. I don't know if the state tournament state championships is necessarily going anywhere, but I think that first year or two could be interesting on how you maintain what is going to be a full season of wear and tear on actual natural surface. Then you turn it over at that time of the year in late November to 6 games in the state championships of how that might look. But Sam, I don't know if this is where you are or not. I come to the conclusion that if they're gonna do this thing, they're gonna do this right with some of the very best in the business that they will pay to make sure that this is a state of the art. I mean, we're talking probably more NFL type technology that is going to go into the surface. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And once every other year, they will have a football game after, and at least one. And of course, they would love for there to have 2, which is
right.
The college football playoff game. And so, I'm sure they would love to have an opportunity to play Nebraska football games after the high school games. I think Heinz Field hosts games, right? So the Steelers have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not very nice field. It's not a very nice field after. I mean, it's honest. Heinz Field, Heinz Field also has the Pittsburgh, Panthers, right? Is that what they're still called? Pitt Panthers?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. I can remember. So Heinz Field probably has the most wear and tear of any of these places.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe they can talk to them about what they do, and they don't always do it very well. But I mean, this is just what they're going to have to deal with. Gary remembers this. They used to have the high school championships at the high school field.
Yep.
This is probably 25 years ago now, and I would not be against going back to it. I think as cool of an experience as it is for those kids to play Memorial Stadium, the atmosphere is really not. It's not like a high school state championship game. In basketball. It's just not. It's it's about 1/10 full. It's usually very cold. Most people are wrapped up in blankets, and they're not tightly bunched together. It just feels like the venue is just too big, in my opinion, for high school football.
Totally
I just do. And so, I'd be an advocate of putting it at Seacrest, where they're getting done with all of the amenities there. That's a really good venue for it. Or putting it at Burke when their amenities are done, or just going to the high school field themselves and having this incredible 4,000 person crowd filled to the brim, lining the track. That to me is a high school championship game. I think the Memorial Stadium thing is cool, but I just don't feel like it has the same atmosphere as basketball.
How do you think, and shifting to now the current football team, he made an offer yesterday. How did we get to the point of Jamar Mosey joining Matt Rhule's staff?
Well, okay, so I don't know if the NCAA rule is still in place where if you hire someone and then their relative comes, they have to be quote unquote an assistant, because that was out there that you had to create a scenario. They couldn't just be an analyst. They had to be like a coach. And I don't think that rule necessarily went anywhere. And so that may have something to do with it, that what he couldn't do is his son couldn't go to UCF and him not being an assistant coach. So he's an assistant at Nebraska. He's not an analyst, according to his own title. So I think this is an opportunity for Nebraska to sort of develop what it wants to do in terms of recruiting in Kansas City. But it's obvious that he's also going to be some sort of assistant helping out one of the positions. So there's probably a two birds kind of thing here that they're trying to get done. And that's a good way to ask the question, though. I think there's probably a procedural change that made that more likely. I don't know if that's changed either. I feel like that's still an issue where you can't just go and hire the uncle, have him,
the Ed Manning of college athletics. Well, so people know his son, who has visited Nebraska, is an Oregon commit. He's a 4-star. Is the rule still in place that if you come from a high school, you can't recruit that high school or the connections or something for a couple of years? Some vague rule I remember hearing about.
Well, I think that's possible. I also think that if you're a full-time assistant coach,
okay, then it goes by the wayside.
You can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. The one I always remember, this is a basketball example, is I feel like Jamel White, he played for Barry Collier, and I think his uncle had some role capacity in the program. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't. It's changed since then. The other one I remember is the guy that used to coach Trinity Catholic, Corey Patterson. I think he's at Illinois now. And they hired him as a full-time assistant. And now Trinity Catholic doesn't exist anymore in St. Louis. But, yeah, that's the one that I recall is like, oh, he's going and getting Isaiah Williams and all the other guys from Trinity Catholic.
Sam, you wrote about this. I know it'll be discussed next week at Big Ten Media Days, but the sense of urgency that Matt Rhule himself is put on this team in year 2, when we get into the entire shuffle of next week's storylines, because I would agree, and I don't think many people here would disagree with, not only is that the storyline with Nebraska of what will year 2 and what will that jump look like for Matt Rhule, and I think even maybe more importantly, the confidence that people have that there will be that jump. But given all of the different storylines of the Big Ten Media Days, where do you think that will fall amongst the overall talking points amongst all the Big Ten teams?
Well, because the media likes him, national media, Big Ten media, it'll probably slot higher than it normally would.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's nowhere near the top story. Obviously, the top story is the 4 new teams coming, starting with USC. Even though USC is not going to be the best of those 4 teams, USC is still the largest story. So Lincoln Riley coming to the Big Ten, that's cool. In Indianapolis, that's a big deal. And then, Oregon. And then, Ohio State, all the chips have been pushed to the middle of the table. This is almost like a national title or bust here. And then Michigan rebuilding. And it is a rebuild. I'm really surprised people think they're going to win 10 games. I'm like, where's that coming from? How are they doing that? Tell me how they're going to win 10. Mm-hmm. People are just assuming. Some other quarterback's going to be fine. I'm like, no, he's not. He lost all his receivers. He has one running back who's going to play running back, by the way. He's not going to be a receiver. So, Michigan rebuilding. And then Penn State and whatever grouchy mood James Franklin's in. And then, Nebraska's somewhere in there after that.
Right.
It's 6, 7 story. Everybody kind of expects that team to be good. Dylan Rhule there, they'll get some spotlight, but it will not be on the same level. So Nebraska's the same day as USC and UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
And, USC is going to be the story on Nebraska's day for sure.
Hey, give me, I guess you could call it best case, worst case scenario, but let's go at it different. What does a step forward look like for Nebraska's defense in 24? And what would a step back look like?
More takeaways. So, you'd love to get to 2 per game. So 24 takeaways for the season. So more takeaways would be a step forward. Their yardage numbers were really solid last year, so they don't have to be great. Much better there. A step backward, I think, would be, that the takeaways kind of stay where they are, and defenses and offenses have figured out a way to run the football a little bit on Nebraska. So if the run defense wasn't quite as good, man, it's hard for me to see that happening, but that would be a step back for me.
And I want to throw in special teams in the mix of this conversation too. If we're talking about, we can do a holistically Nebraska taking a step forward as a team, how much better? We know offense, what they have to do, defense, what they have to do. How much better do special teams have to be for that step, that ideal step forward take place?
The answer is better, but to take a step, there are aspects of special teams that, quite honestly, are hard to control.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we always kind of step into the vantage point of, as fans or as journalists, we're sort of general managers / coaches. We never put ourselves in the position of being the kicker or the punter. 99.9% of the population has no idea what that is. And the reality is, the only people who can really control their output is Brian Buschini and Tristan Alvano, and they got to go do it. It's kind of like a golfer. You put a club in their hand, and the caddy puts the club in the hand and says, "All right, this is where you got to go 135 to the front. 139 is too long. Put it in between, and put it on the right tier." And only those 2 guys can do it. And so one of the hardest things about special teams is you can't really control that. You can recruit it. You can't control it. So what I would say is you want to go get the best iron player in the world. We're not talking putting, but who's the best iron player in the world? Who's the best wedge guy in the world? That's the guy you want to recruit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to say, guy, do what you do. And I want the ball to go here, and I want it this kind of hang time. Can you do that? Great. If you can't, do you know who you can go talk to help you do that? Because I can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. It's a very specific skill position. And so it's really in Alvano and Buschini's hands. And if they can't get it done, then what you do is you look at the other guys on your roster and say, okay, guy from Iowa Western, what can you do? Okay, Stan Cook's son, what can you do? That's the solution. And so it's tricky. I think a good punter is more valuable than a good kicker, but we will see. We'll see how it goes for Nebraska. They need to get better, but they can't exactly control those 2 positions. Those positions are up to the fates, and to the specific skills of the players.
We're in agreement on that. Sam, appreciate your time. Safe travels to Indianapolis. We'll try and catch up with you next week.
All right, take care.
It's Sam McKewon of the World Herald. Back to the defensive question. So Nebraska opponent third down conversions was 45th, but it didn't feel like that, right?
Right.
Felt like Nebraska, when they needed to get off the field, couldn't get off the field. Now, they wouldn't give up a big chunk play or anything, but when it was third down, third and long, they had to get off the field. They weren't able to make stops to get off the field, and drives continued. So they were 45th. And Nebraska, the last couple of years, post the wonky COVID year, have not been very good. They were 73rd and 21. They're 104th in third down conversion rate for opponents in 22. If Nebraska can go from 45th, and it was an issue last year. Tony White brought it up numerous times. If they could get from 30 in on third down conversion, that'd be a huge jump.
Yeah.
The more times they can put the ball in the hands of Dylan Rhule, the better. But I'm going to watch that stat all season long, because when I saw they were 45th, I was like, I didn't feel like it. Too many times it was 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and they'd give up either an 8-yard run or an 8-yard pass.
Yeah.
And it'd be first down, sticks move, drive continues, clock continues to run.
In that Iowa game, I remember that, especially there in the waning moments of that game. And that's where it always seemed like it would take place too. It would be either in the fourth quarter or in a...
They were tired. They were on the field a lot.
Yep, absolutely. And that's a perfect segue into the importance of the offense there too, of just, again, being able to just be better, not worldly, but just being better. The other part of the defense, because I'm in lockstep there with Sam, that if you're able to create more turnovers, you're adding possessions to an offense that should be better, that you're maximizing those opportunities too. The thing that I always think about, taking a step back, and I think your third down conversion number there is a good one to gauge whether you're having success or not, but also if teams do have that ability to get at Nebraska running the football early on, how do they adjust? How does that impact what a team offensively is going to have the ability to do? That's basically what Sam said there too, is immediately when you ask that question in my head, I'm thinking, okay, more turnovers. And if teams are able to, usually essentially what Nebraska's MO was last year, and being able to be stingy against the run. But then when you get into the metrics of the third down conversion rate and being able to get more possessions to your offense, whether you have a struggling offense that at some point you would hope is going to break through, being able to possibly get more 3 and outs, play the field position game, or in this case, this year, what I hope it is giving the football back to an offense that you hope is going to have a lot more opportunities, not just maybe playing the percentage of at some point they've got to score or got to get you something, that this offense is like, hell yeah, get the ball back to them because we want to see this thing happen.
I'm no George Perlis, but last year,
nice.
Nebraska defensively defended 788 plays. Offensively, let me look how many teams were playing college football last year. There were 133 teams that played college football last year. Do you know how many plays Nebraska ran? 739. Do you know where that put them in the country? 128.
I was going to say probably definitely bottom tier. But.
So they didn't run a lot of plays because they were Pettit's Bakery. Okay? They were it was like Sunday, and there was a line out the door, and they were just handing over turnover after turnover. Would you like an apple one? Would you like a blueberry one?
Both are delicious.
Would you like one that I made in Kearney?
Thanks for keeping it local.
Would you like one that you could find at Amigos? Because I believe that Amigos still serves pastries.
No, they should.
Don't they serve a turnover?
Well, I don't know.
Hold on. This might make way too much sense.
There might be one.
This might be a missed
is there
opportunity.
Is there one in Tempe now?
Wow, come on.
I know. Wait, hey, we're rooting them on. I am. I know you guys are too.
They have In-N-Out there. They have Del Taco.
28 drives, 40% of them ended in a turnover. Hold on here. I think
that's got to be a record.
Do they serve scrolling? No,
they do have sweets,
but they do. Can you combine them with?
Well,
that Kopecki's, and they had the donuts, the Winchells right there.
Amigos has an extensive breakfast menu.
Yeah. Oh yeah, their breakfast bowls. Their breakfast bowls are good.
They don't technically serve like pastries. They do have donut holes, which is not a pastry, but it is a warm cake donut rolled in cinnamon sugar.
I mean, it's flirting in that neighborhood.
Made with love.
By the way, their breakfast bowls are tough.
So the offense needs to. So again, I don't mean to be Ara Parsegian, but I'm going to give you some advice. Get off the field, stay on the field. Okay?
Thanks, Sarah.
How Frank Broyles of you.
Thank you.
You do this all day.
Whole time.
You're actually starting to sound like Lou Holtz a little bit there, too.
I never.
That's not how he sounded in Rudy.
Okay. So, again, to reiterate, being in my best Jerry Faust.
Oh.
Get off the field, stay on the field. It's very confusing, especially if you're one of those geese that are landing on football fields.
Oh, gosh.
But
Or
then you
golf
got to go
courses.
hire a dog or something.
Yeah,
Or
or you
a
just shoot up in the air.
Or a fake coyote.
Yep.
Yeah. Get on the field, stay off the field.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Quit leaving your crap all over the field.
Yeah. But
Ooh.
Nebraska, 128th in the country last year of 133 teams in terms of offensive plays run.
Yeah. You stay on the field. Defense, you take the
That
break.
means those 5 schools that had it worse.
So you're saying it could be worse.
I mean, I don't mean to be a Tyrone Willingham, but it's mornings.
Wow.
Sharp and Handley.
It's great.
Okay, Bob Davey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Omaha Whiskey Fest 2024, the largest celebration of whiskey in the region, coming your way September 28th in Omaha. And, of course, as mentioned many, many times, get ready for Whiskey Wednesdays right here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley, coming very soon.
All right, it's day 2 of the media days for the SEC, which was very, very quiet yesterday. This was like nothing other than Saban's really good.
Yeah.
Saban and Brady are going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to study. They're going to be dialed in. I don't have to worry about them. But I think Saban will have a bigger impact than Brady.
I like what Saban immediately giving the coach's perspective of what this time of the year means, where it's a lot of hyper focus on what you're doing internally, and then all of a sudden you're inundated with everybody else's storyline, everybody else's work that they're putting in, that he called it D-Day. SEC Media Days to him was D-Day, knowing that, okay, now it's time to start focusing on the people around us as well, because the season's going to be here before we know it, and here we are. And the guy's genuine. He's not, I mentioned this with Tom Brady in my expectation of him on the broadcast, that I don't think he's going to pull punches, because I think he's super critical of the game, and especially people playing the position that he's the GOAT, that I don't think it's going to come across as, well, this guy isn't as good as me, so I'm just going to slam him. But I think he is going to give you honest evaluation of what he's seeing. Nick Saban 100% will be doing the exact same thing. And I don't think it's going to be bitterness towards coaches or anything. It's going to be the game. And I think he's going to give you that fresh perspective. So I'm all for the Nick Saban part of this.
From the Equitable Bank inbox, Jill writes, in Gary at 1620thezone.com, Mark and Jill, I would guess with new grass installed in Memorial Stadium, would they cancel the spring game that year to allow the field to become established?
Ooh.
Hey, spring game at Buell. Make it happen.
You know what?
Spring game at Buell.
You take that thing on the road. You do a little traveling.
Yeah, it's been my my quest for about a decade, is to have Nebraska, because look at volleyball.
Yep.
Volleyball plays an exhibition in the state, and it's huge.
It's a home run.
Now, it's a little bit more of the logistics of moving a football program to go have a practice, but they want to get in. They're having trouble getting into Omaha with the bigwigs. Give us a little bone.
Think about.
We'll see at Buell on an April Saturday.
Think about how that would look. First of all, Q Street traffic over by Buell Stadium on a spring game.
That church across, is it a church across
it's
the
a church,
street?
Yeah.
Would make buco bucks with parking.
You could charge like $50 to park there.
Well,
I think you can fit maybe 50 cars in there.
This is I don't know enough about grass, how this would all work.
Yeah. It's a concern,
but it is probably they will start growing it somewhere, and ship it in,
yes.
And then I don't think it's as difficult to install a grass field as it was,
right?
But you do have, after the 25 season, you have to take out the turf, and so that will be a project, and depending on weather. No, I think it's a fair question.
It's a good question.
I mean, I think, didn't we all during COVID enjoy the virtual spring game?
Yes. Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah, we could just.
What was that? Was it Davison was playing somebody in a video game, or they were broadcasting?
They broadcast.
So Greg and Matt were.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in my car.
Yeah.
Driving around, trying to realize if this world would ever be the same again. And I was listening to this, and I actually was kind of like glued.
Yeah, I was into it.
We
were eating Q39 that night.
Guys,
great.
How many times were we entertained by actual video game feeds in Korean baseball during COVID?
This is where we need to bring back COVID.
I'm listening.
Okay.
Whoa. This is about as hot of a take as you're going to get. Bring back.
We watched people play video games, and now 4 years later, we're nerds because we're watching people play video games online.
Yep. When we could be outside and we could be amongst the crowd.
Did we forget one of the advantages of COVID was we were able to watch fellow adults or young kids play video games? But now, if we watch somebody play college football 25 over the last couple of days, we're considered a nerd and creepy. Don't forget about COVID.
Hey, your words, not mine.
Don't forget about COVID.
Yep. That was how we were entertained. That was the only thing. I mean, and Again, it was beyond your. Maybe the reason that you would watch and it was okay then because you weren't controlling it. So just like an actual game itself, when you're a fan in the stands, you have no control over it.
You could gamble.
Yeah, you could. I believe you could do that. You could do that on those games too.
I watched virtual NASCAR.
Oh,
I'm not judging.
Kyle Larson got in trouble.
Oh, you're a sicko. Oh,
it was tough, man, out there.
Man, what a great year!
And you
what a great time.
And you want to bring it back? Bring back COVID.
I mean, I have avoided it.
I know Jimmy said why he liked it.
I am on a roll.
Yeah, I had hope.
He got to avoid people.
I am on a 4+ month or 4+ year roll of not having COVID. I've told you guys.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
if you guys give it to me, I'll kill you.
You've already threatened
because that's a heck of a streak.
That is a good streak.
Yeah.
I've considered it not to get you sick, but I was like,
but at what point? If you do get it, it's not as big of a deal as it was before.
It'd be a letdown. It'd be such a letdown right now because nobody else is getting it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, would you even have to miss a week?
I'd probably have to be out for like a month. Have to recover.
IYK.
That's the problem. That is the problem. If you've missed it that long, maybe God knows what it'll do to you.
I was upset. People got it and they had to be out for a week. I'm like, what? Like, okay, so I'm already dinged because I don't have kids, so I can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
And now I'm not getting COVID, so you guys are using kids and COVID as an excuse. I got no excuse. Brian says, I can see it now. Nebraska players filing out of the little brick building on the south end of Buell like clowns out of a clown car.
Oh, yeah.
Walking down the hill.
Yep.
No, they dress in the high school.
In the high school.
And then they walk down the hill.
Oh, that's actually pretty boss. Pretty intimidating.
All of the people that now, like if you go to a game at Buell, the people that sit up by the baseball stadium that don't want to pay to come in and they have their lawn chairs.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. They're in the left field, right behind the left field fence there. Mm-hmm. Just chilling out.
So a good time.
Now, when they have taken away some of the berm seating because it's a little bit more fenced off now, right? That's not
at Buell.
Yeah, Buell. They still have
on
some
the visitor
berm
sideline.
Yeah. Or is that still available?
They have the area to the left of the press box where it's kind of open.
Yeah.
But there is really nothing on the right side.
Okay.
But you can go up and sit on that hill and then pull a Copa and crush the gates.
Don't storm down those fences. You got to get through the evergreen trees, though, too.
You said Everglades. I was like,
that's what they call them up there, over in South Millard. Love that baseball field. Spent a lot of time there. What am I missing?
Nothing. People are having a field day today.
People are laughing and smiling today. It's a great day.
It's good.
We need football. That's all I'm going to say. We need football. Last night, quick basketball note. Did you stay up to watch the Celtics and the Lakers play?
No, I did see some highlights though.
So Baylor Shireman had another good
pass.
Summer league game. Bronny James.
He had a whole 2 points, lad. 2 points.
Well, he was 1 for 5. He had 2 points. He had 3 rebounds.
Oh, but that one basket.
That fadeaway jumper, that was sweet.
Here's the scary thing is...
It get worse?
Well, so 80% of the guys that are playing the Summer League are not going to play in the NBA. And if you're struggling, like really struggling in Summer League, oh, come on, man. What are we talking about? Not doing that kid a favor. But
Trey looked good.
Alexander and Shireman have looked good. Yeah. Bryce McGowan's has looked good. Bronny James hasn't looked good, but every time he touches the ball, you're watching him.
Yeah.
Somebody help the kid out. And I mean, helping him out might be playing with the South Bay Lakers, but if you really, really struggle in the Summer League, that's not good. 80% of them dudes are not going to be playing in the NBA.
Right.
I mean, the higher level NBA guys are just a tad better. just a little bit. But yeah, I watched that game last night. Shireman looks really good. I don't know what his minutes will look like, but he'll
help.
He will make it very difficult not to include him in a second rotation. It's just my opinion. His basketball IQ actually might start to outshine all the other things that he brings to the table.
He just said the one thing that I saw from watching a little bit of the highlights was, is he moving even quicker now these days?
Remember so once the season was over, he got his body ready for the combines and the draft.
Yeah. Okay.
So his body looks a little bit different. He's a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
I think to get through the college season, He had to carry a little bit more weight.
Yeah.
But they've done some different things with his body.
Yeah, he's just in transition. A lot of that, he's one of the first guys down there too, and even getting back on defense too. Just he's there. There's an athleticism that I know maybe we didn't discuss enough with Baylor Shireman, but the dude is still an athlete, and that was one of the things that popped off. I saw the no look pass, which was a great highlight for him, but also just him getting up and down, watching transition. A lot of these were in Laker highlights, but the first guy you see down there is 55. Getting back on defense.
Was he on the floor when Bronny threw up the corner three that hit the side of the rim?
I don't know. I'm not sure if he was.
John writes in, I have a big driveway and live near Millard South. I'll gladly charge people to park in it for a spring game.
Oh, the Walnut Grove area.
It's like college.
Will he be able to make
flourish?
Hey, Millard South will be a popular team out on the circuit this fall. People want to go see him play. Could you make a little extra money off all the people who want to come see Millard South High School play?
Yeah, oh heck yeah.
Got to.
Yeah, the wall. So the wall. You mentioned the church on that side there of Q Street. You've got there's the park, Walnut Grove. So you got that behind you, off to the left, and then actually directly behind the school too. There's a lot of opportunity for commerce there if there was ever a spring game too. So for their sake, I hope they get it. I hope they have a chance to host a spring game. It'd be a lot of fun. A lot of people would make money. It'd be a very College World Series-esque on gouging when it comes to parking. It's true. They do it for just high school games because that parking lot's not huge. You know that.
Well, now they for either west, north, or south, they do cordon off some spots for season ticket holders.
Oh, and media.
But I get there early before
the riffraff shows up.
I wouldn't say the riffraff. I would say
for the general public.
A lot of people don't get to a high school football game 2 hours before kickoff.
They need to. They start tailgating. Needs to be more tailgates for high school games.
You should be the voice of a Catholic school. There's plenty. I've done that before.
A tailgate before a Catholic high school game?
Yeah.
Really?
I'll tell you where some of the best tailgates are the Elkhorn parents. Elkhorn High, South, and North.
Where do they tailgate at?
Right outside the front gate.
Okay. Well, it's a given.
Hey,
because
Elkhorn High's playing at home. Let's go tailgate in Gretna.
I don't know if I'd call it a tailgate, but I have seen a lot of high school football parents gather at certain sports bars before a game, if you want to call that a tailgate. Dinner and maybe a cocktail or two. Doing it responsibly. But yeah, it's just there needs to be more tailgating. That's the only thing about high school football that I've never seen. Actually, the best time I ever saw a tailgate in high school was in a basketball game when Bellevue West hosted Ravenna. There was tailgating going on all day as it was raining, pouring rain on the poor Ravenna folks that were tailgating. Because I don't think it was a lot of Bellevue West people. I think it was a lot of Ravenna folks who decided, hey, we're going to make a full day of this. We're going to drive into Bellevue. We're not just going in and out.
Go to the big city, get the prom dress and prom tux.
That's what you do when you go to state tournaments.
John says, is Bob Davies still getting cable installed in Lincoln?
Yep. As soon as we went to break, the first thing I mentioned, he has a home in Lincoln.
I think of the list of the greatest coaches that were rumored to be moving to Lincoln that never got here.
Number one, Steve Spurrier.
Oh,
well, and remember, he actually then actually showed up in Lincoln, and people lost their mind.
Yep.
I mean, Jim Tressel, and the Hy-Vee is not there anymore. There used to be Hy-Vee on 70th and O. That was such a popular Hy-Vee. Like, that would be one of the first places I would go if I was rumored to be the coach at Nebraska. I would go shopping in Hy-Vee. I don't know why Rhule didn't do that.
God, where trying to think where he goes.
And speaking on cue, I'm not sure what he just tweeted out. But
Matt Rhule did?
Yeah.
Oh.
He listening?
Emojis?
He's on vacation.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Matt Brown, not on vacation. He has been all over the video game. I think we had him on like 2 years ago, and he was already talking about some of the intricacies of it. It's a banger. This is, if you run the little bit that I got to play yesterday, like, you will get to see, one of the cool things is the view that they give you, like on the RPO. It kind of shows you like the difficulty of what a quarterback's decision has to be. You've seen that? Did you play that?
I haven't played it. No, but I've seen leaks of this. In fact, the very first trailer, it showed you
had me at run
the RPO part of it where, and again, this goes to like different meters and you have the options and it's happening really super fast. That's where I think not having that in my repertoire back when I played, this is gonna be a process for me.
There's another one that I caught yesterday is the weather.
Oh.
So like you might be playing a game at Wyoming and it'll be snowing. Or Eugene, it could be snowing during a game that you're playing. And also,
which is rare.
They have, and this is probably a really good question for Matt. They must have a lot of actual football people that were behind the scenes because there's a lot of like actual football stuff, and people will have they will be fully husked when they're playing the Nebraska game, and you have Fowler and Herbstreit doing it because Herbstreit starts talking about TO.
Oh, really?
And I guess they did this across the board. Every team, Herbstreit will talk about like the Mount Rushmore of certain players.
Oh, nice.
So the clip I saw yesterday online is Herbstreit talks about the greatest Nebraska running backs in the middle of him and Fowler doing a Nebraska game.
Does he mention Thunder Collins?
What could have been? Thunder's problem, though, Thunder always had to go to the bathroom during games.
Oh?
Yeah.
Would you see him just go blazing by you?
Yeah. So
I always wonder if more people do that.
Well, I mean,
like seriously,
that story hasn't been told.
What was his name? Linebacker, Minnesota, told the coaches in the middle of the game, David.
What year are we talking?
2014. He told the coaches he had to go to the bathroom, went in the locker room, never came back to play football in Nebraska. Okay,
Zipper got stuck.
So Thunder's deal was, I don't know, Thunder always had to leave the sidelines to go to the bathroom. Now, the first time I thought, oh, man, that's like uncomfortable. And then I was on to the dude. I was like, you're doing it so people will pay attention to you. So because he would let it be known, he would jog down the sidelines. And so like a manager would have to follow him.
People think he's injured or something.
Yeah. Or then when he came back, people were like, oh,
yeah. Woo, he's
back.
Oh, thank God.
So there was one time they're playing Oklahoma State and they couldn't find Thunder. They're actually going to put him in a real game where they kept score.
He was in the bathroom.
And they were like, Thunder. I remember Ron Brown, Thunder. And he was nowhere to be found. So I was on to him after about like when you go to the bathroom the first time, like in the middle of the night, you're like, oh, it's just, But then like the second time you go, you're like, oh man, there's gotta be something wrong with you. I was on to Thunder. The first time I was like, oh, that's like what do you do?
He had some in-game nerves. Maybe that's
but he ran in. People are like, oh, and then they're like, hey, go find out what's wrong with Thunder.
It's dramatic effect.
So dumb me went and asked, and the person was like, he had to go pee. I can't report that. And then, but then when
I wish you would.
But then when he came back, people were like, "Oh, he's back! Oh,
Yep.
woo!"
He wanted the dramatic effect.
Yeah. Well,
like Paul Pierce.
And as we know now, he's never coming back. All right, 824.
That's true.
Truth.
Those are facts. Can't debate those.
Happens to the best of the running backs.
My mind was type 1 or type 2.
That was not.
So he was not part of the Mount
That was
Rushmore?
not mentioned by Herbstreit.
That would have been amazing. See, that's what they should have done. They should have tapped into either current or former sideline reporters, too. You could have really got some good stuff there. Damn. Missed out on an opportunity there. So I do remember this with the old game. Speaking of the weather and the snow, what was so cool is when they finally evolved to their most recent graphics is you would actually see the footprints in the snow from the running backs or quarterbacks, whoever's running the ball. So anytime either you made a catch, receiver turned upfield, you would see their footprints in the snow. It's like that was a pretty cool detail. So I can only imagine that that's gotten a lot better. Now, here's the other question. Can weather creep up on you during the game?
Fog rolling in off the lake?
Oh, now we're talking.
I believe so.
That's awesome. Love it. Yeah, I'm just counting down a couple more days. Not an early access guy. Probably a good thing, too.
Yeah, you'd have missed last night's shenanigans if you'd had the game.
I would have.
I would have.
I
need to
been locked into it.
I need to find out this guy's name. It was a game in Minnesota. He wasn't happy with his playing time. Told the coaches that he had to go to the bathroom and never came back. It was, I think he was from Utah.
I thought you said Minnesota.
Well, they were playing at Minnesota.
Oh, they're playing in Minnesota.
He told the coaches like in the second quarter because he thought he should be playing.
Yeah.
Told the coaches in the second quarter that he go to the bathroom and never came back.
Damn.
That's quite the exit strategy.
Yes.
All right, Matt
Say
Brown
something.
is coming up next. Brian Christopherson still ahead on this Tuesday edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone. So our next guest we've had on quite a bit, and I think it was probably a couple years ago we got into the discussion that the game was going to happen, and Matt Brown was all over it. Matt Brown from Extra Points has played the game. He's discussed the game ad nauseum, and now he joins us on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Matt, thanks for your time. Welcome back.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
So some of us that are old school, when there's a release date, we follow that and we're like, the release date is Friday. But now we live in a world where things are different, and the early release is popular. You got it before it came out. A lot of people played it yesterday. My first impression of it is people that know college football, that are also probably gamers or get the gamers and what you want, were involved, because this is pretty close. I mean, there's a lot of actual stuff that is real in this game, and I appreciate that as somebody who likes the game but also likes the sport.
I think that is a fair assessment. One of the things that was kind of impressed upon me throughout the development process, and I've been writing about this game's development since 2021, probably more than most other media outlets, right? But the thing that was impressed upon me from the school side and from the EA side is that the people that were largely in charge of making this game are college football sickos. They're diehard fans. They went to major programs. They read the same Reddit and the same message boards and follow the same Twitter people that we all do. And they also had a benefit that most other sports video games don't have, which is a longer development cycle, right? From Madden to Madden, you only really get a couple of months to make the next game, and you're kind of relying on last year's code, and there's not a ton of changes you can easily make. And here, because the last game was over a decade ago, you get to start from scratch. I wouldn't say that the presentation or the depiction of every single program and their traditions and uniforms are necessarily perfect, but they're really, really good. and the more that I play it, and I think the more that other people play it too, you're going to notice some other just little small details that probably weren't possible in previous console systems that are really immersive. And I think if the goal was to try and authentically replicate the college football experience as closely as possible, I think they did a really good job.
I was trying to go back on the things that I really enjoyed about the last edition before it went away. And you're right, even kind of in Madden, some of the improvements are very subtle, and you have to play the game a lot more to notice those. But to your point about having so much time off the college game, what was your overall expectation? Because again, I know we talked about this. We'd heard what they wanted, what EA Sports wanted to present, but overall expectation wise, did you think it would be just this completely unrecognizable, amazing experience, or did you think it would be on point and nothing more, nothing less?
I definitely was not expecting a reskin of Madden, which was the community kind of concern over the last 2 years. So they would just take the Madden code, the Madden experience, slap a Nebraska jersey on it, add in a couple of RPO plays and call it a day. So I think that was the lowest possible expectation. I was expecting more than that, but I say this with to be honest, I've played other EA games, right? Yeah. And I know that there's a difference between what developers want and what project managers want and what corporate wants, or just the realities of making software. I've made computer games too. I know how hard that is, and I've never done anything close to this scale. So I wasn't expecting Nirvana either. I have a formal, longer review, I think, coming out later this week once I get a little bit more time into it. But I don't mind saying this has exceeded my expectations. The concern that I think I had the most was less about presentation and more about it, whether it was going to be fun or not. Because I don't know about you, my life is different than when I had this game before.
It's a good call.
I can't play this. Look, I got 20 hours in over the last couple of days because I was telling my family this was for work. That's not going to fly forever. And so I was worried, look, am I going to be able to have a Dynasty experience if I can't comb through 9 spreadsheets to make sure that I get this 1-2-star tight end from like Gilbert, Arizona? Is there going to be a more accessible way for a washed dad with responsibilities? Am I going to be able to play this game without being able to understand film the same way that some of the actual football players do? And I think my early read here is there is as much room to get granular as you'd like.
Yeah.
And if you would like to get less granular, you might have to fiddle with the settings a little bit. But I believe that there are some ways you can still have a fun experience with it.
Matt Brown, who has been out in front of this, he's been reporting on this for about 3 years. And Matt also with Extra Points, it shows up in your inbox. You can subscribe to his newsletter, and it's well worth the price every morning if you are into how college sports works off the field, everything that goes into that. Matt does a fantastic job. Let's look at it from the Nebraska perspective, because people that are now getting to play the Nebraska side, one of their favorite fight songs is not included. In Memorial Stadium, where it's a sea of red, there is more fans wearing white than there is red. How did the process go where colleges submitted ideas of like traditions and things like that maybe if some schools were more aggressive than others, you get where you don't have a fight song that is in there, or something that you associate with a game day but is not in the video game?
It's a great question, and to your point, you're right. The aggression level, but the level of detail that schools provided was not uniform. So what EA did at multiple times through 2021, 22, and 23 is they reached out to every single school and said, we would like a list of every single sound file that your team plays over the course of a game. We want to know what is being played pregame, what is being played after third downs, what you play after penalties, what's played between the third and the fourth quarters, what are your fan chants, and then more importantly, what are your fan chants that aren't R-rated, because we can't, put the actual word "connect" in this game that we're marketing to children, and this whole thing. And I filed a gajillion open records requests over the last 3 years to inspect many of those, right? And you had some schools, like Colorado, that sent 10 gigabytes of stuff, right? They open up the university archives, and here's all the B-roll and the tracking footage across the entire university. The files that I got from Nebraska were pretty minimal. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Nebraska, mailed this in. A lot of the uniforms and some of the audio assets were handled by multimedia rights partners, which are then unfortunately outside the purview of nosy reporters like me. But there were a couple of cases here that I actually was on the phone over the weekend trying to make introductions between schools and EA about some files that got lost in translation, or went to the wrong marketing guy, or the university's third-party rights holder, that didn't do X, Y, or Z, or EA says it didn't do X, Y, or Z. So what I would tell people, it's not going to be perfect everywhere. Part of it is about licensing, right? At Wisconsin, for example, obviously the huge tradition between the third and fourth quarters is just jump around. Well, Wisconsin doesn't own the rights to jump around. And EA Sports, would look into it, and if they determine, hey, that's too much money for a song that's only going to be used by one team, maybe that gets added in the future, but they have to kind of make that decision. That's part of why some actual fight song arrangements or this version of Hail Varsity or this version of something else don't get in the game, because the school surprisingly doesn't always own the rights to those things. But other stuff can be changed over the course of the season. That's kind of the fun thing about video games now, right? It used to be, when you had Bill Walsh college football, if it's not on the cartridge, brother, you had to wait till next year. And now they're going to push out a patch probably this Friday, and there's going to be updates to rosters. There's going to be updates to uniforms. There's going to be updates to playbooks. So if Matt Rhule pulls out some crazy jet sweep that's not in the game in October, it can be in the game in 2 weeks.
Okay, so that leads to a question we were talking about when it comes to attention to detail, which I think from everything I've seen from the leaks, I'm not an early access guy, unfortunately, but we've seen from Nebraska's standpoint, the red on red. And I know at one point when you had the uniform options back with the old game, you could mix and match everything and anything. And it didn't necessarily have to be a uniform that they would actually ever wear in real life, but you could put it together if you wanted to. Do you those all that information that universities are sharing? Does it go as far as even the uniforms, or is it based on what you know? Can you do whatever you want to do as the gamer?
Yeah, when you are firing up a game, whether you're playing with Nebraska or Kansas State or UTEP or whoever, you have a variety of preset uniform options. I don't think I'm telling tales out of school here. Oregon's going to have more of those than Nebraska or Penn State is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you can also cycle through helmets, jerseys, pants, socks, and shoes.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, theoretically have a black helmet, red shirt, white pants, different shoes, something that might not even pass NCAA regulation for like a visiting team. Yeah, you could do that. If you want to do color on color for a rivalry game or something, you can do that too. It's more fun, I think, if you're at a school like some schools have 12 or 15 different preset uniform options. Some have 2. I have been told that substantially more uniforms will be added over the course of the year. When I played a beta version of this game in May in Orlando, and I saw some uniforms there that I don't see in the game now, which makes me think that they're going to, they'll be re-updated or added a little bit later. But you have a lot of flexibility in that department as a player.
Great follow on Twitter. Matt Brown joining us, Matt Brown EP. So let's go big picture here. As people are consuming the game and yourself in the media are talking about it and have been talking about it, and they've rolled it out with lists that draw conversation on sports talk shows. Now everybody will have it on Friday. What do you think this does for the sport? The pop culture angle, places that aren't college football hotbeds. I know you live in Chicago, so it's kind of in between. What do you think this does for the enthusiasm towards a sport that right now is kind of all over the map?
I think that there are really 2 potentially exciting places where this can help grow the love for college football. And one of those is internationally. I'm going to have a story I think that will publish in The Guardian, based in England, I believe today, where I interviewed fans in Belgium and England and Brazil and all over the world about this, because right now it's very difficult to get access to actual college football broadcasts on television if you live outside North America. But you can watch the NFL in a lot of Europe. There's a lot, hundreds of thousands and millions of NFL fans in Mexico and Brazil and across South America. My family's in Brazil. Like I can tell you guys, it's not an accident. They're sending the Eagles there this year. Like people care. Yeah. But if you can't watch Ohio State and Nebraska in São Paulo, you can get a copy of Madden. And people have had access to the game there. This is the first college football game that's getting a worldwide digital release. And so I absolutely expect there to be people that are going to go pick up this game on a lark because they're just gamers, and then become curious in the sport in real life, just like many of the people that I talked to who got bootleg copies, a decade and a half ago. So I think that's exciting. If anything, I actually think college football has more upside in Western Europe and South America than professional football does. Because the attitude and emotional relationship that Americans have with their college program is much more similar to the relationship that South Americans and Western Europeans have with their club soccer teams than how we feel about the NFL or the NBA. It's a way more emotional, provincial kind of relationship. So people will understand that kind of spectacle. I also think this is really important for reaching a generation of people that every athletic director is terrified about, which is Gen Z. Everyone's worried about student attendance. Everyone's worried that the millennials and people much younger than millennials don't watch television the same way. They don't buy tickets the same way. And if they don't have the same kind of foundational experience when they're young, they become less likely to become donors when they hit their 40s and 50s. There are young people that engage more with video games than they do with broadcast television. And so I've been talking to a lot of ADs. I'm telling you, like, I haven't played a video game since Mario, who are looking at this and thinking, I am so excited because this is a way to get my brand in front of a bunch of people who are 16 to 22 that I really struggle with otherwise. And I would actually expect universities, probably not Nebraska, but maybe some other smaller ones who are going to look at this as part of their enrollment strategy. Legitimately look at this as how do we incorporate this video game into our advertisements to high schoolers? How do we use this as part of our university branding wide initiative? And now we're getting into the kind of stuff that I write about all the time. But this is much bigger than just a video game that people like to play on Thursday nights when they get home from work. This is an almost like, public good and pillar of college football in this country.
That's wild to think about, but it doesn't seem so far off. Now, you answered part of my next question right there. And I thought maybe it would be a dumb question, but I had to ask it anyway when it comes to what each school is providing EA Sports with the detail, especially game day atmosphere. My question is, and again, going back to what you just said about athletic directors, how they're excited about this because this can enhance maybe a little bit more of the student involvement, probably answers part of this. But to your understanding, or could you see a scenario where certain schools that don't release a lot of information about different songs that are played during games, or they're a little bit more defensive or not giving up as much because they want people to still experience that at the live venue as opposed to the game? And they feel like if it's on the game, then maybe it dilutes a little bit of the product. I mean, do you imagine or envision that there's any bit of that with certain schools, maybe real traditionalists that feel like if they give too much to the game, then people are maybe not going to think the in-person experience at their venue is as special?
That's a good question. I don't want to say it's impossible because I haven't talked to everybody. There's 134 schools, but I've never heard that raised by an AD or an associate AD or anybody at like a Learfield or Playfly.
Yeah.
Broadly speaking, the schools that didn't share a lot, I think that it was more about they didn't do it because they don't have the administrative capacity.
Mm-hmm.
The AD didn't understand video games. It didn't go to the AD. As you guys probably know, there's a ton of administrative changeover. I mean, right? Like Nebraska had, 3 ADs, right, in 6 months for a minute, and that means that sometimes stuff gets buried. And I know of at least 2 G5 schools that are missing some information for explicitly that reason, and that's why they're hoping that they can kind of get added a little bit later post-release. What you're describing is a lot of why schools were really hesitant to embrace television for so long.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've met anybody that feels that way about the video game.
Matt, fantastic stuff. You're a great follow. We always enjoy our conversation. You've been on top of it. And it's quite a week in the world of gaming that crosses up with college football again. I asked yesterday, did people leave cookies out for Denard Robinson? Because he did us well for 4,000 days.
Yeah, I'll leave on this. Like, I don't mind admitting this. When I got the game on Friday, I got a little emotional. And part of that is, right, this has been a dominating part of my professional career for the last 3 years. I'm not dumb. I know I'm typically writing for ADs, but my coverage of this game is how a lot of regular fans became aware of my company and became aware of who I am, and was something I spent a lot of time on. My name's in the credits, right? I talked with a lot of developers and kind of like helped with a few small things on the back end. So to kind of see this and realize I've spent so much of my life, tracking this, and I know how important it is to other people, and to finally have it was really meaningful. And I know that there are players that when they're going to get this today, I think they get their codes at noon. There's going to be some tears because people are excited about the NIL money. They're excited about the truck. But for a lot of people, and especially in a market like yours, especially for somebody that grew up in Nebraska, there's going to be some kid from Grand Isle who all they ever wanted was to be in this game. When they get on the sticks and they see their name, even if they're a 64 overall and they're 4th on the depth chart, it's going to be a sign that they made it more than any of those checks are.
That is absolutely. Matt, appreciate it as always. Thank you for your time, sir.
Of course, fellas, anytime. Thanks for having me. Have a great rest of your day.
That's Matt Brown. Follow him on Twitter, Matt Brown EP. So every player that opted in, they do get their codes today. Ty Robinson will not be happy with his rating. There is much disrespect for Ty Robinson, but if I remember correctly, the top 5 players in terms of rankings are Hill, Gifford, Nash, Benhart, Banks. And people are going to see Dylan Raiola's rating. That's the typical freshman rating.
Yeah.
And then in this new game is an 80.
What he said there about having a chance to see whether you're from Grand Island or you're from Omaha, Lincoln, McCook, wherever, and you grew up playing the game and you had to go through the hoops of creating yourself. Hey, I did it when I was younger. I created myself. I played quarterback and wide receiver.
Were you good?
Oh, well, heck, of course.
Just making sure.
I had to be really, really good. I needed that in my life. Just to not, again, he's right. Like, even if you have a lower rating, like, it's you. You didn't create it. It's been created by the game itself. Because the money, and I think a lot of people are maybe a little bit misinformed when it comes to the overall check that you get for this. It's not huge, but it's more of you opted in, you're part of the game, and you get a little bit of cheddar for it. That's what it was all about, so they can be able to get as many people to opt in as possible. I don't think anybody's going to care as much about that check as opposed to, especially when we were growing up, when you don't have to do that, but you're playing the game and you knew exactly who that person was and that person was because of the number. But now to see the actual name on there and to have certain attributes connected to your abilities that are, whether you feel are fair or unfair or somewhere in between, it's you. That's you as the player. That's pretty damn cool.
So so each player that opted in got $600, and then you get the option of either the code for online or the game sent to you.
Yeah.
So not bad. I mean,
that's
if
cool.
you are the fourth string offensive tackle and you opted in, that's $600 you didn't have yesterday.
Absolutely.
What Matt said about putting in special things, people need to get a hold of Dannon. So they don't have Hail Varsity is in there. And I imagine they will fix the amount of white that is in the stands at a Nebraska game. But other than that, it's, kind of realistic. I also wonder if they will change where the tunnel walk is. That might be a little bit more. But it's it's quite fascinating. It is football people worked on this. It looks like actual football.
Do we get Can You Feel It?
No, we don't want that. Just remember, people, open field tackling is difficult. Kicking is even harder, and you want to play home games. Home field advantage is a big deal in this game.
As it is in the real life version. Open field tackling can be tough. Kicking can be tough.
What are we talking about? Brian Christopherson will join us after the top of the hour. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
This week's Zone Deals, an exciting new restaurant in Omaha, Circo, located 192nd in Q with an ever-evolving menu. Circo is a dynamic fine dining experience. With this week's deal, you'll receive two $25 vouchers, a $50 value for just $25. Deal goes on sale this Friday at 9 a.m. at 1620thezone.com. While you're there, sign up for 1620 the email.
Saturday Night Live sketch tonight, right before the All-Star game, involving Cody Johnson as he sings the national anthem. Try and be
all eyes are on you.
Best
Bring back
Maya,
England. Come on,
Maya Rudolph. All-Star game is tonight. Is the All-Star game on the radio in this market?
In the market? No.
Okay, just checking.
You're asking me because of my former employer?
I was just checking.
No, never been on.
Baseball on the
Good
radio.
baseball city.
Novel concept.
There's another show that has to take precedence over that.
The rookies are reporting today in Buffalo, Chicago, LA Chargers, Kansas City, Miami, the Giants, the Saints, and the Niners. We are so back.
Mm-hmm.
I got Rhule out here tweeting. He's got shades on.
Sunshine.
So he is. I thought he might be at like a Renaissance fair.
I was going to say Burger King. Remember the kids club?
Yeah. So he's either Burger King or a Renaissance fair. He's actually in the facility. I think this was when they got back from July 4th when they introduced Butler and he had a team meeting. So he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt with a crown. He's on vacation now.
I didn't see it before I said that.
I mean, if this doesn't work out, I'm telling you, drop the damn program. Okay, just get rid of it now. Just grow.
Don't you have that shirt in white?
Yes, I do. Thank you for recognizing that.
That's your fun shirt. That's your
Such
Friday
a
shirt.
Good co-host.
That is my Friday
That's your
shirt.
Friday shirt.
I did not get the red one like Rhule, but I
You
have
need
the
to.
exact same shirt
Can
that is
you
white.
get that for as we transition into college football season, please? And the crown? Come on. Or do we know is that Arkansas fan? Remember the Arkansas fan in the SEC shorts that looked exactly like Matt Rhule?
I think that was Matt Rhule.
I do too. I think he was trolling.
He'll be in his wheelhouse next week.
Yep.
Big 10 media days. But if it doesn't work with him, just put in the grass and then put crops in, grow some good corn, sell the corn at a high price,
And people can
buy
watch.
players. And you could sell.
you can watch. You can pack the stadium and watch.
Do
Watch it
you
grow.
guys ever go to Google Earth cameras and just watch like intersections or Bourbon Street?
No, I don't.
You don't?
You do?
Once in a while.
Just when there's an event going on?
I guess I need to.
Just curious.
Just want to see what's happening?
I'm sometimes a weather weenie. Like I watched some Chicago weather last night.
I did watch the time lapse of that, by the way.
WGN misses Tom Skilling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched the Google Earth cameras from certain places.
Okay. I thought Flight Tracker during the silly season's fun. You're watching Google Earth cams.
Maybe try it sometime.
I might. You know what?
Remember, we're talking 2020
Bourbon
earlier.
Street could be interesting. You actually piqued my interest in maybe watching Bourbon Street.
You got to watch it at night.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah, during the day. During the day, you don't see much.
Why would I watch it during the day?
But boy, you can still smell it. BC's coming next. All right, welcome back in. Last hour. Time for Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. The trio has done a great job of getting you ready for the season. Most indispensable Husker. The list continues. The countdown is on. And BC joins us now. Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Good. Have you played the video game yet?
Early access.
Can it go on a PS2? No, I haven't.
Oh. So I had the Xbox 360. I gave that up when I had to get serious in life. My Xbox arrives tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm sorry, not my Xbox, my PlayStation arrives tomorrow, and it's happening on Friday. So BC, there is still hope you can do it.
Yeah, maybe. I've thought about it actually, which says quite a bit about the game itself, because I thought those days were well beyond me, and I'm not trying to act like I'm ultra mature, because you guys know I'm not. I am living through everybody else through the video game. I'm happy that there's like a shared joy about something that's out there, and I'm not going to get in the way of that. I love it. So I'm not playing it, but I'm enjoying the post on social media about it, and even the EA Sports list about who the top 25 defenses are gave us some conversation for a day around here. Why is Nebraska not on there? I mean, all that stuff has been good. It's been one of the better build-ups to a season, actually, for the summer. We're doing better than the watch list stuff. This is
true.
This tops that easily.
Yeah, it's overshadowed
That
the
is
watch
true.
list. There
That's
have
a
been
good call.
Very few watch lists
Great call.
revealed. We have spent here in the offseason talking about position groups, players that'll be better, what they have to do. Let's talk about the head coach, BC. Where do you think Matt Rhule will be, or where he needs to be better in year 2 as the head coach? Not the media day stuff, but the game day stuff.
I know they spend a lot of time on their game management situations, but there were a couple incidents last year, like late in games or with the clock, where I was probably one of the critical people about stuff. So I think there's some things in that area where it's going to be ultra important in this age where we're entering more of an NFL style with the 2-minute warning and stuff that's coming into college football, that you are really like just one step ahead of your peers in game strategy, like just in clock management and all that stuff. So I know that there's a lot of research and hours, and I know Rhule's told stories about how like it'll be like the middle of a Tuesday, and he'll quiz Marcus Satterfield on like, okay, it's 2nd and 6 on the 37-yard line of your opponent with this much time on the clock. What are your 2 calls? So that stuff is definitely thought about all the time. It's not an easy job to handle that in the moment, but there were a couple games last year, Wisconsin most notable, where I thought maybe they didn't handle it quite right at the end of the clock, and stuff like that's going to matter. So I mean, that's just one that comes to my mind when you talk about areas of improvement, because I think these are going to be a lot of games that are 3-4 point games where that stuff settles it.
And how much of that do you think is a collaborative effort where you feel, just like anything in camp and spring ball and what have you, for the players, use turnovers as an example. You think you've worked on it, you've emphasized it, you feel as prepared as possible, but some of these things just show up in the heat of the moment. How much of just the sideline management, clock management, is that as opposed to the people you have around you, between your staffers, between the people that are up in the press box and you're communicating with? Where do you look at the potential differences there of what you can realistically say, yeah, you can improve that, as opposed to, you know what, that's instincts. No matter how much you prepare for it, it runs the risk of showing up just in the heat of the moment.
I just think that's stuff, every now and again during the off season, you have to talk over with those staff members who are going to be involved in those situations. Like, okay, there's 2 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. Other team has the ball. You have this many timeouts. When are we using them? Sort of thing. Like, just like every now and again, quizzing yourself on, or you take a situation, like last year's college football playoff semifinal was almost settled because remember Washington had an injury that like stopped the clock, and there's sort of a goofy
Running back.
rule.
Yep.
And basically Washington could have run out the clock almost by falling on the ball. And Texas would have never got it back. Texas ends up getting it back because of what I think is an odd rule. I don't know if it's been tweaked or not, but they drive down to the 10-yard line, almost win the dang thing in a game that was basically over. I think there's just some stuff where you look at games that have happened and you put them in front of you and you say, okay, if this oddball scenario comes up, what's our response to it? Or how are we handling this particular thing? Or what weird thing could happen that we're not thinking about? So I think it's just one of those things you're always probably, watching other games, you're putting on film. You have maybe somebody who goes through like, these are 25 strange clock things that happened last year. You think about like Miami lost the game because they ran a normal play when they could have kneeled it out. Like, was it against Georgia Tech or something? It was one of the more bizarre. It was like Nebraska, Illinois from the Riley era, basically. So, I mean, stuff like that. I just think you got to have a person or two who's always kind of thinking about those situations and maybe every now and again putting in front of you. And you're like, okay, let's take some mental notes here about what we would do. But it's easier said than done. It's easier to do that in May. And, when you're on the field in October, you got to make the right call and you got to make it fast. And then you have to build that sort of instinct within your players of like, this is when we're spiking the ball. This is what we're doing in this situation, all that, you've got to just keep working on and putting them in different specific scenarios that could pop up. And if they don't, they don't. But if they do, at least you've done it before.
We die. A year ago, if I would have told you on this date, July 16th, 2023, Omar Brown is going to finish the year and he's going to be honorable mention All Big Ten from the coaches of the media, you would have done a different strokes and said, what you talking about, Willis? But Omar Brown had a really good year, like a really, really good year, considering his first year from Northern Iowa wasn't very good. And he played, but he didn't really play. Who could be, in your opinion, this year's Omar Brown? Guy that played last year, but didn't flash, but now may have a larger role where they can shine.
Oh, good candidates. Let's see. That would be Mekhi Bayer. Feels like, I don't know if he's going to be that guy, like jump to like, all conference, or we're talking honorable mention sort of thing. But I was just kind of looking at the roster the other day and thinking about positions where it's like, okay, there's a little question here about who's on the top line and all that stuff. It feels like it would be a nice deal for Nebraska if he really stepped forward. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement about Vincent Shavers and some guys there. But I think of somebody like him who sort of, teased some possibilities last year, kind of came out of nowhere to just get on the field. And now, is there a next step for him? With this particular team, though, that's a really good question. But I almost think more about, like, I'm going to twist it a little bit, but taking your, like, Javen Wrights, your Jamari Butlers, who people know about, and we've seen good stuff from. But, like, now, are they going to make that play where they're just, like, half a second, quicker? Like I think of the play against Colorado where Javen Wright almost hit Shadur Sanders' arm in the third quarter when it's 10-7, misses him by like 3 inches. The pass gets away. Tommy Hill actually gets beat on that one, and it ends up flipping the game completely Colorado's way. Almost a, play where you take the ball away. Instead, it's 50 yards Colorado's way. It's those kind of plays from guys like Wright, Butler, guys like Ty Robinson that I think about probably almost more than anything. It's just like they're like Jamari Butler had a really solid season last year, led the team in TFLs and sacks, 8.5 TFLs, 5.5 sacks. And I think of the Illinois game, he had a sack and a half. You go back and watch that, he could almost add 3 or 4. Like he has that type of ability, I think, to take another step this year and really be a game-changing player. Can he do it? Can he get those couple extra plays that we're maybe missing that put you on an all-conference team, even if it's second or third team? That's the kind of stuff I'm probably thinking about the most with this roster.
Okay, and I want to I like that you went with some of the guys there up front. I want to ask about guys taking a jump now in their second year with this program that either had some impact or more regular playing time. And I'm going to throw you three guys: Riley Van Poppel, Cam Lenhart, and Prince William and Yellen. Which guy, not necessarily saying who will have the better season, who has the bigger impact out of those three in year two? Maybe the better question, bigger jump in year two.
Prince Will. I think he can be a really, really good player. And there were some injuries last year at times, I believe, with him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously missed the spring. But I think his ceiling is one of the highest on this team. And it's very close. Those are really good names you brought up, because I think Van Poppel, for instance, got a lot out of just getting some snaps last year. That built his confidence. He's gained like 10 to 15 pounds. He was in on the goal line stop at Illinois. That game's coming up a lot for a random conversation on Tuesday, but he was there and helped shut him down on fourth down. That's the kind of play where a guy marinates on that through the off season, and he's gaining weight, and it's like, okay, I can do this. I've been in a big time play. I've made it. And you see him take a step. But I could even go back to last year's spring game when Princewell kind of jumped on the scene, and we're all like looking at each other like, man, that true freshman's playing this year. There was like no question. Lenhart was the same sort of deal. So all three of those are very close. That's one of those questions where it's good because three different people would answer three different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say Princewell just because I think he's just touched the surface of what he can do.
And I like those names as well because they are the future of that defense. Yeah. I think Riley Van Poppel, and I have loved him from the jump. He's a dude. You're right, BC. I saw pictures of him at the road race, and he's a lot thicker. He just happens to have two of the better defensive linemen in the Big Ten that are in front of him. So he's not going to crack them, but he's going to play. I think next year is his breakout year. So you have Nash and Ty Robinson, and those guys aren't going to go off the field very much. There's another guy. What's 2024 kind of on, okay, the second year, what do you do in the program? What do you project as a good season for Elijah Judy?
Oh, that's a good name.
Yep.
I don't know for sure, but I keep going back to like Terrence Knighton in the spring said he's the wild card. And he told us about how I think, Elijah had a kid last fall, and it's brought up just to say that, guys have stuff going on in their lives, like they're trying to play football sometimes. And we don't always think about that part. And it sounded like he was in a really good headspace this spring, was doing well. And he's the one that the D-line's interesting because you can go through and name like 10 guys, and sometimes you'll leave off somebody like Judy. And that's where you're like, man, they are pretty deep. But you're only deep if the guys we're talking about, like Van Poppel and Judy, and they take that step that we're saying we think they can do. You have to actually go and do it now. It's the same thing with the defense as a whole, though, guys. I mean, all off season, there's sort of a little bit in the background, like, oh, they're going to be a top 10 defense. Like you still got to go out and earn it. Like they need to be that. So Dylan Rhule doesn't have to be Superman this year. We had Dylan a little lower on our indispensable list than some people wanted and took some arrows for it. But part of our thinking is he hasn't taken a college snap yet, but also I'm hopeful that this is a top 10 defense again. I believe in a lot of the guys on that top line on that unit, but they need to be that. So then your freshman quarterback, he does not have to take the passing offense from ranking 125th to 8th. If he takes them from 125th to 60th,
right,
and your defense is a top 10, because you have your guys like Gifford, Nash, Jamari, Ty. Those are the guys who, if they live up to their end of the deal, it really makes things a lot easier on the other side of the ball for the young guy and alleviate some of the pressure. So I'm kind of getting into another discussion with the indispensable list, but that went into the thinking on that a little bit. I mean, the defense has the guys to be a top 10 defense, but now you got to go actually do it. And part of that is the top line guys I just mentioned, but also the guys you're talking about, your Van Poppels, your Judys. Can you be that unit again where you can roll out 20 to 22 guys and you're like, man, I don't really notice much of a drop off. That was one of the great wonders of last season under Tony White, is that he actually did that in year one, where you couldn't really tell, like, oh, they have the second team guy in now.
Yeah.
Can they keep that going is the big thing.
Speaking of indispensable, who's your most indispensable running back?
I don't know yet. I mean, we had Emmett higher, just because I think he kind of earned it because he was the guy who finished the year in that spot. You have to obviously see how Gabe and Ramir come back from the injuries. It looks like Ramir's doing fantastic from the video they had this summer. And there's nobody on this roster I think this fan base wants more to see have a big final, note than Ramir Johnson. So you kind of hope for that. I've always said I love the fact that when Rhule talks about Ramir, he talks about 2021. And even though it seems long ago, that's the last time we really saw where Ramir was used like he could be used. And it was a big success. That's a guy who just, it feels like whenever he's touched the ball in his career, usually good things have happened. So you kind of want to just see it keep happening and see where that goes. But sometimes I wonder if we're sleeping on Emmett Johnson a little bit. I'm not saying he's a mirror, but his story reminds me of Amir a little bit. When Amir came in, everybody was always first to mention Braylon Hurd and Aaron Green in that class.
Mm-hmm.
And those were talented guys. But after a year or two, you just saw this guy's determined. He's just got a little something to him. He's not going to be denied. He doesn't believe he's a backup. And you realize, okay, he's a dude. And I think Emmett, in his own way, started to show some of that last year. And now it's a question of, is that where the curb for him, or is there going to be a couple more steps? And I think he's got a couple more steps in him. So I'd probably say Emmett after that long winding answer, but they're going to need all three of those guys and maybe a surprise back. You wonder if someone pops up out of nowhere. A year ago at this time, Emmett Johnson was like the fifth string guy nobody was thinking about. And now we have him in this conversation. So who knows?
Hey, we'll get you out on this quickly. So you guys got pushback on having Rhule at 8 on the most indispensable, because I know you and Shafe had him at 8. Brunt's had him at 7. People wanted him, 1?
1 or 2. A lot of them did on our board. I you know what? I get it. I'm not here to I wouldn't get in a boxing ring with someone because he's probably going to be QB1, and everybody understands the impact the quarterback has on things. I will say this: it wasn't a slight by us. Trust us, because we've never had a true freshman. I don't know if we've had one on the list ever. Maybe Wandale, but he definitely wasn't in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us were just kind of like, well, let's just have him play, some snaps first and show what he's got. We think he's got a lot, but let's let him do it. He could start like 8 this year, and he can be number 1 on this list the next 2 or 3 years. That's probably the way it's going to work. But I go back to what I said about the defense. If they're a top 10 defense, then Dylan doesn't necessarily have to be Superman. And also, I'm maybe a little bit more bullish on Harburg's development this offseason than some others, where I feel like he can at least be a nice complement. I feel better about Nebraska's 1-2 possibilities at the quarterback spot than maybe some other people do. So maybe that factors into why I had him there too.
Great football conversation. Really enjoyed it. Safe travels to Indianapolis. We will touch base next week and enjoy the rest of the week, BC.
Yeah, always enjoy being on, guys. Thanks.
That's a good football discussion there. As we are, how many days, Jimmy?
46.
46.
There's a good number for you, Nick.
Yes, the 46 defense. No?
Yeah.
No, I had nothing wrong with that defense.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were going to maybe say Gary Fensick.
Hey, he was a dude.
He ain't no Dave Durson.
Dave Durson, my man.
Rest
in peace.
Yes. He ain't no Peanut Tillman.
Ah.
Oh, gosh. Now you're just Give me all kinds of warm fuzzies right now.
Donnell Wolford.
Your warm
Trying
fuzzy
to,
will
trying,
be.
to, trying to ignore that
Hey.
Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze haven't signed yet.
Vesty Jackson.
Your warm
Vesty.
your
Vesty
warm,
was a stripper, by the way.
Your warm fuzzy will be winning 8 games. And what do we do with our head football coach?
You talking to him or me?
Thanks, man.
I don't know what your guy's going to do.
Yeah, I think he's in Boulder. Ugh.
No.
Whatever.
Have fun with that.
Oh, no, yeah, at that point, I would be like, hey, I will get a new team.
Might as well get Manziel back in the NFL, too.
Just call in.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Have fun. Where are we golfing today?
Stone, Westview Athletics, and your man, Johnny Krogstrand. Gonna be a day.
Good luck. He tells me he's a good golfer.
I golfed with him back in Columbus now. This is a long
Yeah.
time ago, and I'm not good, but I was awful. I was like a 30.
Yeah.
So.
He does good work. He
Yes.
is the athletic director for OPS.
He's a good man.
Loves him some baseball. We share a passion of we work together during the summer, and then we both like the Cubs.
And he's a big Michigan fan.
Be a gorgeous
I
day
heard
out there,
He
too.
was coaching in the 10U state tournament. His son's team.
Yeah,
he was the coach. I'm not sure how he did.
I'll ask him.
But good luck. Got to keep an eye on him though. He's a little shady out on the course.
There's gonna be some extra. They're gonna be like just all of a sudden a ball's gonna be on the tee, like in the fairway. Like how the hell that happened? I don't know.
Have fun.
All
That's
right.
a good cause, good golf course.
Yes.
We're back with more after this in 1620 The Zone. All right, so SEC Media Days are going on in Dallas. How would you describe the suit that Kirby Smart is currently wearing, Jimmy?
Somebody's going to get talking to or fired after picking that out for him, because that's not what I would have gone with. It looks like a checkerboard.
He's got the vertical stripes going on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for a good pinstripe, but yeah, not that one.
I wonder if he also mentioned, he's been talking a lot about Saban, just reading some quotes online, that he's very excited that Nick Saban knows how to text. But Georgia,
his players don't know how to drive.
They do not know how to drive. And I don't know if he's addressed this yet today. I'm a little bit behind. We don't have the audio as he is speaking in Dallas. But I wonder if he also said, like everybody else has said, that Texas is not going to run the SEC. Saban said that yesterday. I'm sure Feinbaum, after he got done just destroying the Colorado football program, dropped it in there that Texas will not be running the SEC. Yeah, if you missed it yesterday. So Feinbaum has made it personal with Dion. And Dion has responded to what Feinbaum said. He said what a lot of people have said out loud is that Colorado football on the field is irrelevant right now. And he went full, let me get the exact quote of what he said yesterday. And I don't know why at SEC Media Days it came up. He called them irrelevant and they don't matter to college football.
The ratings are going to disagree. I'm not defending them. I'm just saying we're going to watch to root against.
Colorado is an important college football. Deion Sanders is Colorado is nothing. They don't matter. They're irrelevant in the big picture of college football. So in just a conversation on the SEC network, he went scorched earth on a non-SEC team, which there are parts of there that he is absolutely right. I don't think wins and losses matter at Colorado. I don't think they matter to team dad that's coaching. It's more individual over team, and it's stats to get you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Draft status. If Colorado wins only 5 games this year, but Shadur is the top quarterback taken, does this past season even matter at Colorado for team dad?
Nope.
Yeah.
And I wonder who will coach him next year.
Wins and losses at Colorado are not important. It is all about the stats. It's all about the draft status. And hey, last year when they got off to a good start, everybody flocked to Boulder. And then when wins didn't continue, people left Boulder. That's called a bandwagon.
Yes.
That's called a cult. You stuck with Dion because you're a fan of Dion. You're not a fan of Colorado. So Feinbaum just went scorched earth. One other thing out of the SEC Media Days yesterday, because Greg Sankey spoke, and they've been really boring. There haven't been any craziness. And I think we might be in a situation where media companies are now recognizing that there might not be a lot of value in media days. So they're not just wall-to-wall people. Like we remember the Big 12 media days being Kansas City or Dallas.
Rest in peace. Always had a good time.
It was jam-packed. I mean, there are media from all over the country that would be there. Now there are less and less media, and there are, from the radio standpoint, there will be less radio stations that will be in Indianapolis. They've stretched it another day. We don't know what's going on in Indianapolis, but the hotel rooms, like the media hotel in Indianapolis, is like $500 a night.
It's ridiculous.
So no one can figure out what's going on. Like, I don't know if the Fever are playing, but still that wouldn't have that much of an impact. But the prices for Indianapolis are through the roof. So there will be fewer radio stations that will be in Indianapolis, but more companies, because they are trying to, watch the bottom line, are sending less people to cover media days. Like, you might have one guy covering, for 6 different.
They're going to be working.
Yeah. But in the SEC media days, it's super quiet. Like, it's not just like craziness.
It's almost boring. It's weird to say that.
It is. And then you have a commissioner that yesterday, do we believe that Greg Sankey is telling the truth? Because next week is ACC Media Days, and weird stuff happens at Media Days where, you can trace back all of the realignment rumors that became reality, really picked up steam at a Media Day. And the ACC is next week. Florida State and Clemson will be there. Greg Sankey was asked about it yesterday, and he said, nope, we're good. We're good at 16 because the name has to mean something. That if we're in the Southeastern Conference, we're the Southeastern Conference, which, if you add Florida State and Clemson, would still be in the Southeast. you'd have another team in a state you already have a team in, and as well in South Carolina, like in Florida and South Carolina. But people are trying to figure out his words if he was telling the truth, that the SEC is not open for business, that he is not, as Sankey called it, a recruiter.
I'd say, and I'll throw Petiti in this too when he talks next week. They mean it. However, they're always paying attention because if the ACC broke up, well, those schools got to go somewhere. At that point, you start doing your due diligence. But I believe them when they say they're happy where they are. But if the TV networks get to them and say, hey, but you know what would be better, then yes, they become open for business. But they're not outright going to say it. It's nice to lay low and be quiet. Just let it all play out.
Get to the Big Ten just a moment. So the rumor will continue. God, he looks so comfortable. Saban is on the set of the SEC network.
He was just coaching to get a TV gig.
You know,
you can tell who the dude is in that panel.
Let me finish the thought on Sankey. So I think they're staying right now at 16, but they're always open for business. And North Carolina probably would be the one that I would get more excited about. And if North Carolina wanted to move, then I think the SEC would say, we'll take them. That's why, even though it sounds ridiculous because they'd be taking there'd be like essentially money-wise a parallel move. They don't shut the door on Florida State Clemson. That seems like me to be the last option. But in this case, I do believe Sankey wants to at least get into 16 and then maybe go from there. But we would take North Carolina over Florida State Clemson. Now to Saban. What was it, Jimmy? Was it 4 or 5 years ago that Saban's persona, it may have been after they won the COVID championship when they beat Ohio State, that his media persona
started to soften.
Yes. And then someone got to him, and all of a sudden Saban went from this very terse guy that we either saw interviewed at halftime coming off the field or in his weekly press conference. So we're like, that guy, hello.
He's annoyed.
All of a sudden he changed, and he started to look at the camera. Like if you saw him in his last few years at Alabama, when he would be interviewed by Jamie Erdahl on CBS at halftime of the 2:30 CBS game, he would look at the camera. And then also somebody got to him and they talked to him about his hands. So Saban, I'm noticing this now that he's made a move to being on set, and now he will make the move in the fall, the game day. He's a big hands guy. He used to never be a hands guy. But he looks at the camera when he talks, and he's a hands guy. So someone worked with him later in his time at Alabama and softened him up where he wasn't so gruff. And you're like, oh, okay.
He's going to be really good.
He looks really, really comfortable sitting on their set and talking football, and he knows what the hell he's talking about.
And no one's going to question that.
No. We'll see if we can get you some sound from the SEC Media Days. What's the schedule for the rest of the day?
Let's see. I had this up yesterday. I swear I said Drinkwitz earlier, and I may be wrong. You might be tomorrow.
In the video game, Luther Burden is a dude, the wide receiver from Mizzou.
What's today? Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, wait. We had the Dogs. They just hunkered down. Speaking of dog, Tennessee coming up a little bit later. Josh Heupel. And OU, SEC Power. And then Missouri at 3:20. Yeah, Luther Burden, Brady Cook, Christian Williams. Good players. Josh Heupel will not be very good in this setting. Josh Heupel will be better on game day than he is on media day. And because of he's not great as a public speaker, Tennessee will not get as much love as they probably deserve. Yeah, tomorrow.
It's weird. That's how media days work.
Well, in Texas tomorrow, Alabama starts it out. Mississippi State and Florida are just the other two schools that are showing up to talk.
You say Texas is tomorrow?
Texas tomorrow.
They put Texas and Alabama together?
Yeah.
Wow.
Thursday, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Auburn, and Kentucky.
And speaking of Alabama, as we were just talking about Saban, if you wondered if Kellen DeBoer would be able to recruit, making the move from the West Coast to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to replace the GOAT, he's doing just fine. 2 5-stars this week, wide receiver, offensive tackle. They are in the running to win the recruiting championship with Ohio State this year. He hasn't even coached a game yet.
He's a damn good coach, too.
Well, I think there's some guys that are, and I have great respect for Greg Byrne. I don't know that it was, maybe I'm wrong here, an out-of-the-box hire because he went and he hired a guy that is from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or had coached in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, had been on the West Coast, but just like, football is football.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. John Butler can go from the NFL, where he's been coaching football, and coaching college. There's a little bit of a transition, but football is football. If you are a good football coach, and Kellen DeBoer is a good football coach when it matters on Saturdays, you're a good football coach wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
The question has been, can you recruit? Because you're selling a different message. You have different resources. There might be a part of the country you're not familiar with. But you can coach the football. Football is football. But can you recruit? And if I'm in the SEC and I'm going, damn, they're recruiting. They're recruiting really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't gotten to the point of coaching games where they turn on the scoreboard and they keep score. Alabama isn't going to go anywhere. The other part of, I think and he won't be in the same conversation as the GOAT, at least right now. Their staff will be better. Their staff at Alabama is better than Saban's last couple of years of his staff, because so many guys were leaving to go either be coordinators that were analysts or GAs that would have been promoted at Alabama. They were going to be coordinators or full-time guys. And then look at the amount of guys that left to go be head coaches or go to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So Saban was always, and this might be a credit to Saban, they continued to win at a pretty high level. And he had a revolving door of assistants where DeBoer came in, and DeBoer's staff initially will be better than Saban's last staff. Difference at the top, just because of success. But across the board, Alabama's staff is only second to Georgia in that league.
Well, and just like you said a couple of years ago, when Nebraska was looking for a coach before obviously everything started to happen with Matt Rhule, that would have been a great choice. And many people were like, wait, who? And now that people are getting to see and know, they're like, oh yeah, that dude can coach. And they're going to find out real quickly at Alabama when they realize, I didn't know he's a Southern guy. He's a football guy. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and you can press people with recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
No, they had a really, really good weekend. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back. Final segment. We got the crossover coming up here in a little bit. Tomorrow on the show, we will possibly talk to Tyson Lewis, who was drafted 51st overall by the Reds. He is going to forgo his time at Arkansas. He will sign with the Reds. Also, Cale Fountain from Norris, who got drafted in the 5th round by San Diego. He will not be going to LSU, and he instead will be signing. This is the last day of the Major League Baseball draft. There could be a couple of local products, former high school players that could be drafted, and maybe another Husker. And we'll see. Gabe Swanson, will he be drafted? If he's not drafted, he's back off of the great finish to last year. We'll finish the show after this in 1620 The Zone. Watching the clip of Tiger asked about Colin Montgomery's comments that he should retire. I'm now just seeing his facial reaction. Wow. He mic dropped Colin Montgomery, and it was deserved. So Colin Montgomery said that Tiger should retire. And with the Open set to begin later this week, Tiger is over there, and he was asked by the media about the comments. And he basically said, I'm exempt until I'm 60. Colin is not. He is not one. But his smirk, his smile, as he absolutely cooks him, damn, I want Tiger.
You're going to get me excited too.
I want old Tiger that takes stuff like that and walks out on the golf course and shoots a 65 and then throws his clubs in the lake and is right back on the range getting ready for the next day. That says, there you go. There you go. The Open starts tomorrow, or starts Thursday, I should say. So we will have early morning sports. We will have morning golf gambling going on in the program. Matt Rudy will join us tomorrow from Golf Digest for the final major of the year.
That just sounds weird.
The final major of the year?
Yeah, already. I mean, I know because they moved the other one in August, but still. Love me some Open.
With the PGA Championship that used to be in August, I think this move was good.
I agree.
The problem is, now once this is done, unless you are a diehard in a non-Ryder Cup year, how much are you going to pay attention to the FedEx playoffs? I mean, golf has become this, and tennis in a little bit of way, more probably tennis than golf, is you only pay attention to the majors, and you're only judged on the majors.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna talk about Alcaraz when he plays in Cincinnati here? No. Are we gonna talk about
unless Ellie De La Cruz is there?
Scheffler playing in. I'm trying to think of some of the stops they have left. Let's see. They've already been to New Orleans. They've been to Detroit. Wherever their next stop is, as they're coming up on the FedEx playoffs. I don't have a problem with the PGA Championship being moved out of August.
I always used to think it got lost in the shuffle.
I like bang, bang, bang. Well, because what's in August? School is starting. It's usually the middle of August. Yeah, school is starting.
Back to football.
Football is starting to be played. It doesn't resonate, even though it's a major, and it's also looked upon as the worst major of the four. I like where they moved it. I like starting with Augusta. You go April, May, June, July. We're done. We're on to every other year being in the Ryder Cup. If not, you're on to football, and there you go.
Yeah. But this one I always liked because as a kid, I was always mind blown when you would see, golf and football weather. I'm watching this in July. So that's what I always expect. And you always get the one sunny day where you feel cheated, but you know it's a good day for them to play. So that's fine. But then you get the day where it is just howling and it's, I mean, I wouldn't want to play in that, but it's fun to watch. And it's morning golf.
A little birdie has let me know with Big Ten Media Days next week in Indianapolis. And even though they will not be official, the 4 new schools that will be there, they are not officially into the Big Ten until the 2nd of August. That the new Big Ten television commercial may make its debut on the Big Ten Network next week.
Yes.
That the new formation of the commercial is finished. And
the 60 or 90?
They are waiting to roll it out.
This is what we've asked for. We finally made it. We have the video game, and we're going to have the new Big Ten commercial. Things are looking up.
Now, it's going to be similar to what is being aired now. So does everybody, all their little graphics stay the same as they make their way across the country, and they just add the left coast? And they speed it up to get it to fit into a 30?
Quick, stretch it. Stretch the song. Make it quick. And then the pictures of the people that they show. I mean, let's get an update on them. Some of them have grown up. Some of them may not be with us anymore.
And don't change it.
No.
But the commercial is done, and it may make its debut next week on the Big Ten Network when they are from Big Ten Media Days.
That's going to get me through the weekend. That and the game.
All right. Tomorrow we'll talk more about Tiger. Tiger is savage. Old Tiger is back.
We need that Tiger.
God, I wish he was still in playing form where he would take something like a Colin Montgomery and use it as motivation all weekend. But if you've not seen it, it is you have to watch the video because of the smirk. It is typical Tiger when he responded to Colin Montgomery. Might be the first time he's ever responded to anything said by Colin Montgomery.
Like the Larry Bird story where he made every shot left-handed just to prove he could because people run their mouth and question him.
All right, Crossover's coming up next. Good show, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. If you've not played the game and you're getting ready to play the game, Matt Brown, fantastic insight into how everything went down. Some stuff that is missing from Nebraska may not have been submitted with enthusiasm by Nebraska, but that doesn't mean it can't change. And he said there's already going to be a new patch coming up on Friday for some of the things that were not in the game or were a glitch. So that's up on the radio replay page, along with Sam McKewon and Brian Christopherson. For Nick, for Jimmy, I'm Gary. Crossover's coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6, 20 hours away on 1620 The Zone.